Oh, yeah, you're right.
So if you have any questions, text them to me or whatever, you know.
Yeah. Hi.
All right, we're going to call this meeting to order. It's the regular meeting of the City Council for Walton Beach, 4 o'clock, Tuesday, August 12th. If Reverend Felix Cole can lead us in invocation. All rise.
Good evening, everyone. I invite you to pray with me. Gracious and eternal God, we come before you with hearts full of gratitude for this opportunity to serve our community. Lord, we thank you for every council member, every city staff, all the concerned citizens that are here on tonight for this important work that we have. Lord, we trust that all that are here will do things decently and in order. God, grant us a wisdom that sees beyond our personal interests and seeks the well-being of all. Give us the clarity of mind to make sound decisions and the courage to address difficult issues and the compassion to hear everyone's voice. Remind us of your word where you tell us to act justly, love mercy, and to walk humbly before you. Bless our city, our families, our businesses, our schools, and all that are here tonight. Let peace, justice, and unity take root in every part of our community and in our discourse. Protect those who serve in public safety and meet the needs of our most vulnerable people. May all that is discussed and decided today or tonight be guided by integrity, fairness, mercy, and desire to honor you in all the services that we perform. In all things, Lord, may you be glorified, and we take no credit. For it's in your Son's Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
Amen.
All right, now for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands,
One nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, with that being said, before we go to approve the agenda, I would like to motion to move item it was the last one on action. 13.3, thank you. I'd like to motion to move item 13.3 to the August 26th meeting.
Second.
All right, second by Councilman Jeter. Any comments?
I think we got a lot of items to work through tonight, and that's a good move to postpone that so we have more time to work through everything else we got tonight.
To follow up with that comment, those of you that are following along, that is the item where we're going to have a discussion about moving city elections to November and the general election date. So if you want to come back on the 26th, if this vote does pass, please come back on August 26th. But we got a lot of, looks like some other business to discuss as well, and we have a budget meeting in about 30 minutes. So let's go to vote.
You can or can't?
She told me not to vote on the screen.
I said move, but a second. It's not letting me.
You want us just to do hands, Kim? All right, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any nays? All right, passing 7-0. All right, so that approves the agenda. Recognition, City of Fort Walton Beach employee recognitions. I'm going to come down there and recognize some people. All right, employee recognition. This is also an awesome opportunity to just honor and serve those who've been serving our city for a long time. So with that being said, we got William Cota for 10 years of dedicated service to the city of Fort Walton Beach. William, if you can come up here. sir, for your service. Any comments you have as you part?
I'm just having a good time there. It was a great retirement gig, and I hope to keep doing it until I can't golf anymore, then I'll retire.
Thank you for your service. We really appreciate it. All right, next we have from our growth management, Mr. Timothy Gibson for 5 years of dedicated service. I didn't think you'd have any parting comments. These are fun surprises. All right, I would also like to, we have an agenda item that includes Public Works. Agenda item number 13.1, 13.2. That's the award of contract for public lot construction at 147 Brooks. And 13.2, amendment number 1 to the interlocal agreement between Okaloosa County and the City of Fort Walton Beach for design of the Around the Mound. I'd like to suggest and hopefully get a second to move those two items right after the consent agenda.
Second.
All right. Ms. Barnes, let's go to a vote.
Can you still motion, or just going to make us into hands again?
Or do
you
we
can't
just need to do yays and nays again?
She's not able to switch it because of the computer, so she do yays and nays.
All in favor to that move of the agenda, say yay.
Yay.
Any opposed, say nay. All right, let's get that going right after the consent agenda, which that's where we're at now. So looking for a motion for the, to approve the consent agenda.
Move to approve the consent agenda.
It's got a motion by Mr. Jeter, second by Mr. Merrill. Any comments, Mr. Jeter?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Merrill? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. All right, that gets us out of the consent agenda, and I'm going to turn that over to item 13.1, over to Mr. Davis.
Do you want to do public comment stuff first?
Absolutely, absolutely. We definitely don't want to miss over that. Excuse me. This is not where I was expecting to be 10 minutes ago, so I appreciate y'all's patience.
Changing plays on the fly.
Okay, we got the consent agenda. Now we got council comments. I'm up first. I don't have any comments at the time. Mr. Walker.
No comments at this time.
Okay. Mr. Browning.
Nothing right now.
All right. Mr. Barry.
Not at this time.
All right. Mr. Jeter.
Yeah, I'd just like to say welcome, Mayor Algretta.
I'm looking forward to being here. Come
Good afternoon, everyone. My apologies. Thank you, David. Where were we? Where were we at?
We stopped after my public comment, so we're on Ben.
Okay.
Council comment.
I got you.
I'll tell you.
Fair enough. All right. That brings us to Mr. Merrill. Okay. And Ms. Riley.
I'll say one.
All right. I will also save mine. That brings us to public comments. Is that correct?
Yep.
All right. Anyone from the public wishing to speak on any items that are not on tonight's agenda, please come forward. Yes, sir. Just please state your name and your address.
I was wondering when I passed you.
My name's C.C. Pearson. I live at 205 Hill Avenue, Northwest, Fort Walton Beach, Florida. Longtime community resident. My comments, we've been hearing a lot about Chester Pruitt in the community, so therefore that's what I wanted to talk about. I just wanted to give a brief history, and I have a request for the council at the end as well. But I wanted everyone in this room to know who Chester Pruitt was and is to this community. Chester Pruitt was Fort Walton Beach Police Department first black police officer. He was hired in 1948. Chester Pruitt was hired to be a full-time police officer in 1951. He broke barriers and gave unforeseen hope to the black community. Most of his 15 years of service was during the segregated times of Jim Crow. Chester Pruitt, although an officer, when he was hired, could only arrest blacks. During that time period, he had the authority to detain and only question white suspects, but he was always forbidden to arrest them. In spite of his inequalities and the barriers he faced, Chester Pruitt's legacy will also be remembered because he had a strong character. The police force he served back then said Chester Pruitt was known to be a gifted mediator and a champion of youth. Chester Pruitt was loved and respected by all in the black community. He was someone they could trust. He knew how to make one feel at ease and spoke with respect and calmness that made everyone feel comfortable. Chester Pruitt served our great city from 1948 to 1964. A stroke forced him to retire in 1964 and he died 4 years later. This was an amazing accomplishment because our beloved Okaloosa County did not even hire its first black sheriff until deputy sheriff until 1974, a person named Clifford Florence. But Chester Pruitt was so respected by the black community served and the others that appreciated his service and dedication. A park and a recreation center was named in his honor. The Chester Pruitt Park and the softball field are considered to be sacred ground and should always remain at its present location. The park includes a memorial walk of fame that lists other black leaders of the Chester Pruitt community who struggled and helped pave the way to our own family legacies. Chester Pruitt serves also as a ceremonial ground for annual and special events such as May Day, Super Youth Day, the Easter egg hunts, back to school supply giveaways, and more, and even private events. In 1996, the Friends of Chester Pruitt was created to serve as a nonprofit organization. This organization continued to provide comfort and care to the community. Their main focus mimicked Chester Pruitt's daily agenda of looking out for the community, especially the senior citizens and our youth. His wife, Miss Lula O. Pruitt, was a founding member of this organization because she too wanted to help make a difference in this community. In 2000, Chester Pruitt was one of 385 influential people who were honored as a great Floridian by the Florida State Department of State and the Florida League of Cities. This honor has only been bestowed upon 4 people in Okaloosa County: Dr. Bill, Liza Jackson, Kate Bagley, and Chester Pruitt. We all know Dr. Bill, and I'm pretty sure none of the street name won't be changed. We all know where Liza Jackson Park is located, and I'm pretty sure throughout this history, it won't change. And as far as Kate Bagley, she's a former mayor, but she'll be most notably remembered for bringing McDonald's to this area. I know that too. A couple things in there. I was the president of the Friends of Chester Pruitt when we started this thing. As far as history, I was the first black manager to work for McDonald's Corporation in this area for Kate Bagley. So, like I said, I've been here for a long time, seeing things change. But I say all of this to remind everyone that the best way to continue to honor Chester Pruitt and the service he gave to the city of Fort Walton Beach is to honor him with this original park that bears his name in the community that he had the responsibility of policing, is by letting this park remain in its permanent location. To ensure this is never a topic again, we the community ask Fort Walton Beach Council to support the community's effort to save Chester Pruitt's legacy and forever let the Harbison Address be its forever location. The community would like the mayor, the city manager, or the city council to support us, the black community's effort to have Chester Pruitt Park established as a state of Florida historical site. We are prepared to offer a committee to work with any liaison that y'all want to appoint to do this, and we're willing to do the work. I want to thank you for the time that you've given me to state our cause. We want to thank you in advance for helping to save our legacy. But I'd like to end this by reading to you a paragraph that was in an article written on Chester Pruitt, February 24, 2021. He broke barriers and set examples for others. He added, officers and community members still reference his name today with a sense of pride and understanding that even in the toughest times, we can succeed. The Fort Walton Beach Police Department is forever grateful for his courage and devotion to our community. This statement was made during the Black History Month. That statement was made by our current Chief of Police, Robert Bage. He also said his legacy is timeless. I end this by saying Chester Pruitt's legacy not only should be timeless, but always protected and respected. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you very much, sir. Ms. Riley, quickly, real quick.
Okay,
Ms.
very,
Riley.
very quickly. I'd like to make a motion directing the staff to designate Chester Pruitt Park as a Florida historical site with the Florida Department of State, the Division of Historical Sites. And I think that it should be designated that so that we would never have to be faced with this issue again, and that we can continue to move on, develop the park as a historical site, give Chester Pruitt legacy, something to give back to our generation, as well as the community that he served in, to give him that recognition.
Second.
A motion by Ms. Riley, seconded by Councilman Schmidt, to designate Chester Pruitt Park as a historic site in the state of Florida. Any additional comments, Ms. Riley?
Yes, what I would like to let this diocese know, as well as all of the members of the community that are sitting here, I want you all to know that Chester Pruitt Park is near and dear to the community, and I 100% support it. It's been a legacy amongst many generations, and many of our families that grew up here and resided in the Germany Terrace area, Butler Terrace area, the Beulah Baptist Church, one of our first African American churches in the community. I want you all to know that I firmly believe that the legacy of Chester Pruitt should continue to live on within our community. Thank you so much, Mayor.
Thank you, ma'am. Councilman Schmidt?
Yeah, there's no better way to say it, and especially coming from Ms. Riley. But I would also like to thank Ms. Riley as well as Mr. Davis for taking time to go over and beyond and serve and call a meeting in the afternoon and try to get the people in the community and the message out there. So thank you, and thank you, Mr. Davis, for fielding those questions, and Ms. Debbie for fielding that energy, because it was a good energy. And I want to appreciate y'all for your time. So thank you.
Absolutely.
Anyone else, Mr. Walker?
Sure, I want to say thank you for sharing that. I never knew so much about it. I'm a lover of history, and to know that such a man was in the community, and what a honor it is to him to be spoken about all these years later for the good work that he provided in the community. So thank you.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else on council wish to speak on this item? Please vote. The motion does pass unanimously. Fantastic. I just want everyone to know as well, if I could vote, we would have had an 8-0. But, you know, off the classroom. All right, anyone else from the public wish to comment on an item that's not on the agenda? Ms. Reynolds.
Nancy Reynolds, 25 Driftwood Avenue, Fort Walton, and I am a 33-year retired teacher. So I wanted to thank you for all you do, and I wanted to say that what I'm going to ask you about tonight, I've been doing this for 3 years, and it's just, we need murals downtown. We need art. We need things that we have already in Panama City. We have it in Pensacola, Navarre, Mobile, and Biloxi. And we need to look at that and say, we need to make sure that that art is downtown. I've counted a lot of walls. We've got them down there. I have a muralist right here, Galdo. If you ever looked at the back of Suds Cinema, he did that for free. He can't do that anymore. He needs to be paid minimally for what he does, but he's so talented. And I just wanted you to know the people that we need in murals. This is where we live. The 1992 Olympics, Carlton Tucker, Gary Gebhardt, and Randy Smythe were there. Number 2, Gladys Milton. She was a midwife. She birthed over 2,000 babies in this county. 3, Danny Warfel, who won the Heisman. 4, Henderson Beach, which was literally started by Cliff Reynolds and his daddy, C.F. Reynolds, who was the first principal at Fort Walton Beach High School. Special Olympics, Charlie McFarland started that. He was at Silver Sands for years and years. Aliqua, Lori Hood. It's a place where animals are treated correctly. And I'm worried about SOCS. Sarah DeMondron, who just passed away, she started SOCS, which is all the cats, which I have 3 at my house. 7, Dick Covey. He was an astronaut from here. 8, the Doolittle Raiders, who go way back. 9, Bernadette Sims, who started the Ballet Academy. There's nowhere else in this area. 10, Stagecrafters. They're back in the 50s, they started. 11, the Gulfarium, which was one of the first in the state of Florida. And then all the deputy sheriffs that have done so much quietly that need to have a mural and a name up on a wall downtown. Think about it. I have a person who would paint. We have walls down there that are city walls, and they would be beautiful with history of Fort Walton Beach. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Ms. Reynolds. Anyone else from the public wish to speak on an item that's not on the agenda tonight? Yes, sir.
Hi, my name is Elias Marty, also known as Goldo. I reside here in Fort Walton Beach, 654 Beale Parkway, Northwest. I am the founder, the teacher, the principal of this art school here in Fort Walton Beach, which there was none of before I did. Okay, I am a product of this pandemic that rocked us all. Okay, it got brought to my attention that, well, art, because of underfunding, has been taken away from our children. Okay, none of my children at that point in time, from the youngest to the oldest, had art in their curriculum being pushed. Okay, this is something that I have fed my kids, all 4 of them, with art since I've started in my career. Right, I started my career. I've been 26 years tattooing. Okay, I now teach the art of tattooing. Okay, I teach other mediums like drawing with pencil, drawing with paint. And painting. Kids do not have this in school anymore as a curriculum. Kids don't know how to hold a pencil, how light, how firm. Okay, they don't have this anymore. They get doodles, all right? At least every now and then. I have kids in this system, okay, in this school system, and I know what they get. They get the minimum, okay? Then they get directed into YouTube, all right? So to how-to videos, right? So I've been pushing myself to teach art for as cheap as I possibly can. I only charge $10 for an hour for children to come in and learn, okay? The basics, the intermediate levels, and even advanced levels, okay? On multiple mediums. I have other teachers that teach their art skills like stained glass and glass bending, wood shop. We're bringing all that back because there isn't anymore in our schools, okay? So it becomes about creativity. Creativity is dying the more and more you guys, more and more time passes, it's dying because we're relying it to AI, not our children anymore. So Ms. Reynolds came to me about 3 years ago as I'm pushing this art, all right? My intentions was to literally paint the town. I come from the city, all right? I grew up in New York City, okay? And it's colorful, it's inviting more than anything, okay? Everybody wants to know about it, okay? That was my initial goal, was to paint the town. Ms. Reynolds came in. She asked me if I could help her with this endeavor she has about murals and the historical, monumental people in this town. And I said, absolutely, because that was my plan to begin with. What better than to honor the town with, putting up their historians, okay? Otherwise, who will know who's from here, okay? So I did help her, and I did do this mural that is in the back of Southern Cinema because it's to me, it was the only historical place that that I could know, that I was told about. That was the initial one. Then I was told about all the other ones that Ms. Reynolds just mentioned, and I am more than glad to do it. All right, not only just to push the historical people from this community, but also to push the art skill that pushes the school for our community. Okay. Again, I'd like to repeat that we charge just for materials for kids. Nobody brings anything to our school. We supply everything. Okay, what we charge them is just to keep going to push this art skill. Okay, I did do this work for her for free. Okay, I told her, yes, I'm more than glad to do as many historians in this town, but I cannot do it for free. It hurt my business, me stepping away over 300 hours to do this work. I've yet to even sign it, just on the principle. You understand? It hurts me to put that much work into a city that is not pushing forward. I will keep being here. If you look my business up, I am a 5-star business since I started. I've been here now 6 years. Okay, still pushing, still by myself. Okay, what I'm looking is for some kind of funding to help, historical people from this town and the art to keep pushing it for our children. That's all.
Sir, real quick before you sit down, you said your business is at 654 Beale?
Yes.
Is that the one that's right there at the intersection by Domino's?
Really colorful.
That is
building on town.
such a neat
Yes.
building, and everything you've done to design
You have
that.
to go in there.
The marquee out front with the words on it that you
Yes.
always change.
Yes.
It's always great. I take my kids to school, we drive right by that. It's always very interesting, and I think you've done a really nice job with that business. I appreciate what you've done so far in the community, and I hope that we can work together on some things in the future.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Appreciate the time.
Anyone else from the public wish to speak on anything? Yes, sir.
I just want to say, I want to add Chester Pruitt to my list.
That's a good call. Well done, Ms. Reynolds. Yes, sir.
I'm Dave Hancock, 113 Brook Street, Fort Walton Beach, resident of Indianola Condos. I know I've talked before about our effort to get the garbage facility relocated in the Landing. I just wanted to first I've talked to many of the city councilmen individually over the last month. And the ones I haven't talked to, don't worry about it. I'll get you. I'm just slow. But I know y'all have a lot on your plate. Don't forget us, okay? Because one of these days it'll come time to break ground on where those things will go. So just remember, we don't want a garbage facility with odors and waking us up at 6 in the morning when the trucks come to empty it. So don't forget us. And thank you, all of you, for listening to me, okay? That's great.
Thank you, Mr. Hancock. Anyone else wish to speak on any items that are not on tonight's agenda? Yes, ma'am.
Lisa Courtney, 221 Beachview Drive. I have nothing fun like art to talk about, but very briefly, the short-term rental ordinance that we passed and is now hung up because of SB 180, is my understanding, is why we can't enforce it at this point. Do we have any idea where that stands? Who interprets that? Who's going to tell us if we can enforce that ordinance or not?
Sure, I could direct that to our city attorney, Mr. Burns. He could probably speak to that for you.
Thank you.
Yeah, Mr. Gibson and I met about this last week. Mr. Gibson, and we went through all the ordinances and stuff that were passed since last August, as required to do by the new statute that was passed via SB 180. And we identified 2 ordinances that we want to bring back before the council, one being the short-term rental ordinance, the other the livery ordinance. The short-term rental ordinance, if you remember, was passed pretty late in the game, just a few months back. And staff, by the time they really want to make the decision to start enforcing it, was dealt with the fact that SB 180 got signed. So they've never actually taken the steps, and I've advised, they had taken the step without seeking my advice, but then once they came to me, I said that was a smart decision, because we need to probably do some major rewrites to the short-term rental ordinance. So I would say it's probably going to be coming back to y'all within the next 2 or 3 meetings and amend the ordinance on that particular one.
Gotcha. Thank you for the update. Mr. Walker, briefly.
Could you expand on the SB 180 as far as why those two ordinances you guys decided to hold off on? What is it to share with the public? What caused those two ordinances that passed to be repealed or held off on?
There's portions of them, not their entirety, there's portions of each ordinance that could arguably run afoul of SB 180 by being a little more restrictive.
So if it's restrictive upon land use?
Upon land use.
Okay, great. Thank you. Thank you.
Anyone else from the public wish to speak on any items not on the agenda tonight? All right, then we will move to item 13.1, which is under action, direction, discussion, award of the contract for public parking lot construction at 147 Brook Street Southeast. And I believe we do have Daniel Payne via whatever technology we're using on these giant screens up here. Mr. Payne, there you are, in all your glory.
Thank you. Mayor and council, can everybody hear me okay?
Yes, sir.
Okay. This evening, tonight, we have a item related to the landing, or adjacent to the landing. Back in last December, City Council authorized the mayor to execute a lease agreement for the property that's on the east side of the landing. For Mr. Bob Norman, that address is 147 Brook Street for the purpose of parking. We executed that in December, January timeframe and moved through with design. There was a couple, critical path kind of identified in the lease. So we had design. We had the existing residence that was there demoed. And then we, after a demo, we kind of triggered the lease that we had. So the base rent has been going. So tonight the item is basically to utilize the existing contractor that's there at the landing. It doesn't officially follow our purchasing policy, but our purchasing policy does have a couple sections that have unique circumstance in which the city council finds that competitive building is not the best interest, and the other one is other documented or justified circumstances approved by the city manager or the city council. Now, I think those warrant explanation, and where we staff stands on this one is, we understand that base rent is being paid, right? Basically, now. So we're trying to be conscientious of that. Now we can procure and do the whole 9 yards, but the city bidding process is, it's lengthy. And there's stuff in front of it on that, like we've seen. So this was a kind of a creative line to try to get things done. The cost of the project is budgeted in this year's budget. The recommendation is to waive the purchasing policy regarding the competitive solicitations for the construction and award it to GLC, who's doing the work on the landing. And obviously terms and draft contract, those things, liquidated damages, things like that we have identified, all through there. So how it goes is up to everyone on there. We just wanted to be conscientious of the base rent being paid and trying to find creative ways to maybe get things done in a quicker time frame. So with that, I can answer any questions that anybody has here tonight.
Thank you, Mr. Payne. Questions from the council for Mr. Daniel Payne. Mr. Schmidt.
Mr. Payne, I appreciate the perspective of trying to make it quicker. Would this contract have anything zipped up pretty tight where the period of performance, there's some kind of penalty if it's not done by a certain time?
Yeah, so right now, we have a 90-day substantial completion, which means, basically the lot can be used. Another 30 days would take it to 120 just for the ancillary items, like landscaping, things like that, but the parking lot will still be used on that side. We do have a draft contract. Now, we haven't obviously really negotiated with them because, we wanted to get basically a standard, like, that comes from the DOT. And it's around, for the price, it's tiered based on the price of the work, but it's basically lies somewhere between 500 and 1,700 a day liquidated damages on asphalt.
And then, like you said, you hadn't.
For negotiation on the contract.
That's what I was getting ready to say. Like you said, you hadn't negotiated anything, but 107 would like to lean towards a very tight period performance that's obviously realistic with staff's evaluation of what is a realistic period performance, but just trying to get this site buttoned up. Thank you.
Anyone else questions? Mr. Walker.
Good afternoon, Mr. Payne. Just one question, I believe on 3.1, the cost of constructing the parking lot is funded and included in the 24-25 budget within the half-cent sales tax. Is that funds are available or it was already earmarked?
It was earmarked as a CIP.
And what was that number? Do you recall?
The budget number we had was, I do believe, $500,000.
Okay, so it's 50,000 under that budget you had set in there.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone else questions for Mr. Payne? Seeing none, anyone from the public wish to speak on this item? Seeing none, council, do you wish to take any action on this item?
Mr. Mayor, I move to waive the purchasing policy and award GLC contracting terms to be negotiated with a performance clause on there, as Councilman Schmidt suggested, in the amount of $451,692.78.
Second.
Motion by Councilman Jeter, seconded by Councilman Schmidt to award the contract for the public parking lot construction at 147 Brook Street Southeast with those changes. Councilman Jeter, anything further?
Thank you, Jason and Daniel, for realizing that we're paying rent on this property. We need to speed the process up and get it done. This contractor's already down there. It's a competitive price, and we're going to hold them accountable to get it done as quickly as possible. So thank you.
Councilman Schmidt.
Yep, and thanks, Mr. Davis and Mr. Payne for looking at our purchasing policies and what we can do creative to try to expedite this process. So thank you all.
Anyone else wish to speak on the item? Please vote, council. The motion does pass unanimously, 7-0. Brings us to item 13.2, amendment number 1 to the interlocal agreement between Okaloosa County and the city of Fort Walton Beach, Florida, for the design of the Around the Mound project. Ms. Neighbors or Mr. Davis?
Mr. Davis.
Yeah, no, Daniel's speaking to that, but that's, in the packet that you have, Jeff, is the agreement that states the county's gonna honor their original $650, and we're covering the rest. We are gonna have to navigate the, half-cent sales tax money and something like that, just to get that, it's like a little over $2 million now. But we're ready to move forward, so that's in that agreement for you to sign for the county. If we're good here, then I'll get it out the door tomorrow.
And the original contract had a contingency that the grant had to be awarded, so Mr. Davis was able to go back to the county and get them to actually agree to at least provide their original funding. So that's what this agreement solidifies.
Gotcha. Anyone on the council with questions for Mr. Davis? Mr. Schmidt.
Excuse me, Mr. Davis, but what's the amount that we're pulling out of the city side to fund this product?
It's $2,025,000.
Okay, then the county side is at 600. Would this be the complete price for that design? Does this cover it?
Well, that was the original, so whether or not the prices have gone up since then.
Gotcha. All right. Well, just before we fly over this really quickly, I just want to encourage council. I think we're going to get support for this, but we've heard a lot from the Citizens Advisory Committee on the TPO, Transportation Planning Organization, to really try to advocate to marry the two projects between the end of the bridge and the beginning of the Around the Mound. It's a substantial amount of money, I completely understand, but thank you to the county for contributing that $600-something. But this is going to get it closer to starting the Around the Mound project, closer to the end of the bridge completion. So that hopefully from a traffic management standpoint, we can get those orange cones off our street underneath 10 years and get that process up. So thank you.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else with a question for Mr. Davis? Mr. Walker.
Just want to clarify, I remember back sometime I tried to figure out how it all flowed together, but the PD&E is not due now until what, beginning of first of next year?
I believe, yes, or even maybe a little.
Early in the year?
Spring of 26.
Yeah, I think it was originally like February.
So it's my understanding, and I know you guys on the transportation side of it over there might be able to help me with it, but if the PD&E comes back as cost prohibitive, this money that's being set aside right here goes back into half cents, it goes back into general funds. What happens to the money? Because right now it's just being set aside and allocated, it's not being spent, right?
Sure, I think Ms. Neighbors could probably answer the question.
Yeah, I mean, if it doesn't get spent, it'll get put back in a half-cent fund balance.
Just always feels odd to me that we're approving funding for the plans when we don't know if the PD&E is going to support it.
Sure. It's a valid concern, certainly. Anyone else with a question? Mr. Jeter.
I also would like to ask Mr. Davis, would it be wise or possible to reach out to the chamber who we just paid an amount of money to? And I think this would be a good place to ask them to help us come up with outside the box thinking for other ways of funding. They have the chamber is very good at that. If there's one thing they're good at getting behind projects, getting them across the finish line, going to different areas, and maybe in this same process, they're able to come up with some additional funding from other places to help us with that money that we are going to.
Yes, totally agree, because, again, like you said, we've spent some money on their services, so they have reached out, they were going to be here tonight to offer. They had a conflict, but yes, we've had some initial conversations.
Because the county, I've said it on many of meetings, and the county has actually, they use the chamber for the same type of services. I think
they're all in.
We should do that too. That'd be great.
And Councilman Jeter, I think that's an excellent idea. I did recently speak with some folks at the chamber, and I know that their board is organizing some sort of effort toward that end. And I completely agree with you, and they would also agree with you. Obviously, I'm not putting in words in anybody's mouth, but I think they're getting a little organized to try to help fund that project. So
that would be great if they're able to come up with more than the amount of money we pay them annually. It would be a good investment.
Sure, right.
It'd be a good return.
I guess when we're talking $2 million versus $25,000, it'd probably be a low bar for them to clear, but I think that they could certainly do that. Anyone else questions for Mr. Davis? Anyone from the public wish to speak on this item? She was just waving hello, not. Just wanted to make sure, just a bad time to wave.
What is
I think that there is a lady.
Oh, yes, ma'am. I'm sorry. I didn't see you. Yeah, you can come up. Yes, ma'am. Just please state your name and address.
My name is Patrice Bubba Miles. I live at 238 Watson Drive Northwest in Fort Walton Beach, Florida. Just in listening to the dollars that we're discussing here, are we talking about allocating funds, or are there going to be, are you guys going to come for some of our hides as citizens, whether we're looking at increased fees for utilities and services or increased fees and taxes to cover some of these costs?
So I could definitely answer that question for you. So no, ma'am. Any raising of fees or raising fees for any services that are provided by the city, that would be a whole separate thing that we would have to have a meeting about. And include in a meeting and notice to the public as well. So anything that we're talking about here tonight, including this project, would be something that is either already budgeted for, or that we are making an amendment to a previous budget or pushing onto a future budget. But as far as this item here, Ms. Neighbors, could you kind of explain the funding and where, if we were to fund the $2 million and $25,000, where that would come from?
Right, so we have a special revenue fund for the half-cent sales tax, and right now we have about $7 million in the restricted fund balance in there, so it would come out of there, and then if we didn't use it, it would fall back into that fund balance to use for something else. So we wouldn't be increasing anything for any citizen.
Sure. And just for explanation for the public, because I know not everybody is super excited about watching every meeting and learning every terminology, the half-cent sales tax money is the additional half penny that we pay on every purchase that we make that is a taxable purchase. Our county has designated a bunch of that money, and then obviously each municipality, each city gets a share of that money as well, and we're able to spend it on projects that are non-recurring projects. So, building a park, having a design of something that would hopefully improve our traffic flow downtown pretty significantly. Those are things that fall under that window. So, Mr. Walker.
Since you were explaining 3.1.3, the item does not have a budgetary impact because of the fact that we'll use it. What's a CIP?
Capital improvement project.
Great, thank you.
Anyone else from the public wish to speak on this item? Council, do you have any action to take on this item?
Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to respectfully recommend council to authorize for the mayor to execute the proposed amendment to the interlocal agreement between Okaloosa County and the city of Fort Walton Beach for design of the Around the Mound project.
Second.
A motion made by Councilman Schmidt and seconded by Councilman Jeter to approve the interlocal agreement between Okaloosa County and the city of Fort Walton Beach for the design of the Around the Mound project. Additional comments?
Yes, Mr. Davis and I were recently at a transportation meeting this past week where multiple agencies, multiple local institutions, whether it's EDC to our military friends, they're looking for other ways to get density, to get cars off of Highway 98 through other collector roads, other creative ways. This project that we're talking about is way more than just creating more vibrancy for downtown Fort Walton, but it's to complement and to go along with the huge need of trying to improve the mission readiness. A lot of our economy and a lot of our local folks rely on the military. The traffic and those kind of things that are impacting us on Highway 98 are directly impacting our economy. It really is that direct of an effect. So yes, it is a big price tag. And yes, it's something that we've been talking about for over 8 years, going through the bureaucratic planning process. But I'm very hopeful and excited about paying for this design product to get it further down the road. So thank you.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Jeter.
Yeah, I'd echo everything he said. I love the way that he drugged the EDC and Mr. Sparks in along with helping us with the same thing we're asking the chamber to do. I think they both can help get this across the finish line for us. So, well said.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Walker.
Sure, over the time that I've been listening to it, trying to get an understanding of it, it always seems like we were throwing money out. And I look forward to Around the Mound coming together when it is. It's just sometimes I feel like we're not aware of the full extent of the cost. It's just piecemeal each way. And to that in mind, I saw, can someone refresh me on why the TRIP grant, we were not awarded the TRIP grant? Whoever.
Councilman Schmidt could probably speak to that.
There was about 16 districts in the state that were competing for it, and we didn't get awarded.
Got you. So in reality, we went from having, hopefully having 675 from us, 675 from the county, and then the state was going to, or the TRIP was going to pick up the rest of it. And so under 2.3, it just continues on as a, down at the bottom, as a Tier 1 priority project, making Around the Mound project eligible for a SS4A implementation grant. What is that about?
That's a good question.
Mr. Frazzetti on the technical side, or Mr. Davis, if however you want to pass it on to. But
I know the SS4A is the Safe Streets for All, and that has to do a lot with the multimodal and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, Tim probably knows a lot more, but there's a...
Mr. Gibson can help us out.
Yeah, Tim Gibson with the Growth Management Department. So the Safe Streets for All is another grant program that is out there. The county did do, basically there's a lot of studies that have to go around with that. The county did complete all their studies. Right now it's just not in that grant cycle for us to apply for the SS4A grants in there. I have worked with the county before. I did work with them on that TRIP grant, trying to get that through. The intent is that we're going to go after the SS4A grant if it's out there. We just don't know if that's going to be a thing or not. But it is something we are definitely intending on going after.
Would that SS4A grant offset the cost of our $2 million in 25?
That's correct.
It offset it?
Yes.
Okay.
It could also go into the actual construction phases in there as well.
Mm-hmm. Just disappointed that we keep getting turned down for, it feels like, no, we're important, but then we don't get any money. We're important, and we just keep ponying up more. Taxpayers keep ponying up more, and again, we don't have the PD&E back yet, so once again, feel it's kind of out of place, but thank you.
Anyone else wish to speak for the first time? Mr. Schmidt.
I did recently speak with some representatives from the county. They are going to be partnering. I hope they're going to be partnering with us again to apply for it this year.
The TRIP grant?
Correct. Yeah. Correct. We can go for it.
Mr. Davis.
Yeah, I'm every bit as frustrated. Much larger county, I had a lobbyist that would go pitch this stuff for me, and they're very good at what they did. Also, it wasn't cheap, but it paid for itself in the end, so maybe something we can look at going forward, not this year, but potentially down the road. And then the grant company we've been chasing, we've got all the I's dotted and T's crossed now. I just couldn't get it on this agenda. So we'll have another avenue to chase some money for us on the
That's
next
the
agenda.
SS4
That
and others.
Correct. That's their business model. They go find them for us and do the paperwork, and they don't get paid until we do.
The bill actually helped what Mr. Davis said. I know the city of Destin hired a lobbyist about 9 months ago. In this past time, legislative session or budget session, they actually had most of their requests approved. So that's a good idea that Mr. Davis had about the lobbyists, maybe to revisit that this next year and think about hiring one, because they are pretty effective at working the administrative executive side of the government.
I can feel Mr. Walker's eyes rolling.
I was like, that was not a
I don't like it either, but it works. And I'm not good at it, so.
Yeah, continue, Mr. Smith.
I do like it, you know, and because if there's an ROI, I mean, if this is a very early in the phase of evaluating whoever the, you know, possible lobbyist candidates would be to solicit, but if we can get a better ROI, I'm all for it, because we've recently, the past few years, had.
And I feel that we will have plenty of time to have some spirited discussions regarding this issue in the future. But for now, council, please vote on the motion. And the motion does pass unanimously, which brings us back, I believe, to item 9, resolution. So item 9.1, is it correct?
The only reason I asked to go out of bounds is because Daniel's crazy sick, so he won't be slowed and dialed in, but if we can let him go.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know if he has anything else to speak to. So, good, thank you.
All right, he's already gone. Item 9.1, Resolution 2025-10, approving the Community Redevelopment Area Plan Update. Mr. Paccetti.
Yes, thank you, Mayor and Council. So this is an item that you're probably kind of familiar with at our most recent CRA board meetings. We had some discussion about doing a fairly minor update to our CRA plan to discuss community policing. So we've been doing some community policing initiatives, obviously, in the CRA for the last couple of years, and in reviewing this with the city attorney over the last couple of years. We found that there's probably some language lacking in the CRA plan, although there was still some basis and background to support us funding those activities out of the CRA. But with that, we want to make these changes. So at the last CRA board meeting, we did provide just a draft of the language and did receive correction to move forward. So since that time, we went through the formal notice process to the county and taxing authorities. We prepared the item that you have here this evening, which does incorporate within section 2.3 of the CRA plan. It adds objective 1.8 that basically just identifies these different community policing initiatives that we are allowed to do in the CRA, in a CRA in accordance with statute. We made a couple of just minor changes to the acknowledgements page, as well as the purpose section and the conclusions in the plan. While we were updating it, we just didn't want them to seem out of sorts and outdated since we were making this, we're calling it the 2025 CRA plan update. So with that, it is just the changes that we previously discussed at CRA board. We've not received any other feedback, comments, objections from any the county or taxing authorities or anything like that for it. So with that, staff does respectfully recommend the approval of resolution 2025-10 for the adoption of the 2025 CRA plan update to incorporate community policing initiatives into the plan. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Paccetti. Anyone from the board with questions on this item for Mr. Paccetti? Does anyone from the public wish to speak on this item? Council, do you wish to take any action on this item?
So moved to approve resolution 2025-10 for the adoption of the 2025 Community Redevelopment Area Plan update to incorporate community policing initiatives into our current CRA plan.
Second.
Motion made by Councilman Jeter, seconded by Councilwoman DeBerry to approve resolution 2025-10. Additional comments?
Thank you to the CRA team. Glad it's now officially in our plan, and I love the community policing department.
Ms. DeBerry?
Yeah, I same as what Mr. Jeter said.
Fantastic. Anyone else? Please vote. And the motion does pass unanimously, which brings us to item 9.2, Resolution 2025-11, a resolution approving the Florida Department of Transportation traffic improvements on Beale Parkway. Chief Beige.
Mayor, council, and guests, on August of 22, the Florida Department of Transportation conducted a study at First and Beale. That study was requested because there was 35 traffic crashes at First and Beale from 2017 to 2022. FDOT's recommendation at the time was to install a light at First and Beale. Unfortunately, that improvement has never been funded on any FDOT work plan. And recently, we've noticed an increase in traffic crashes at that same location. In the month of June, there were 9 traffic crashes at that single location, which was 10% of all the traffic crashes within the city of Fort Walton Beach. Year to date, there's been 18 traffic crashes at First and Beale. Anytime an intersection has more than 5 traffic crashes, it's considered a hazardous intersection. So we met with FDOT a few weeks ago, and in that meeting, FDOT has recommended to make First and Beale a right turn only. So if you're coming east or west on First, you'd have to turn right onto Beale. You could still turn left off of Beale onto First, but you could not go across Beale on First until that light gets funded at the intersection. FDOT looks at this as a temporary solution to improve traffic safety at the intersection. FDOT will assist us in the permitting and in the method of transportation during the installation of the barrier device, but the city would be responsible for the cost of construction, which Daniel Payne estimates at about $12,000. FDOT wanted a formal resolution from the city council, and the funding would come from half-cent sales tax balance, and there's a resolution attached.
Thank you, Chief. Questions from the council for Chief Beige on this item?
I have one question.
Yes, ma'am, Ms.
Chief,
Riley.
Okay, where the light that you're indicating, a traffic light at crossing Beale Parkway off First Street onto Church. Where the
So
churches
yes,
are at.
the light
I want to
would
make
be-
sure I'm at
The light, if
First.
it ever was to come, would be at the intersection at First and Beale by the church.
Okay.
And the 2-story building.
Okay.
Anyone else? Mr. Jeter.
This is not funding a light. This is funding a right out,
This is
right.
funding the signage and the flexible barriers that are very similar to the ones that you see currently on Perry.
Correct.
So they would just stop cars from going straight across on First, crossing.
Which is still a step in the right, positive direction. And FDOT has given us the go-ahead to.
Yes, FDOT is encouraging us to move forward with it. They want a formal resolution to show the city's support.
Got it.
Mr. Berry.
Yes, I'm very much, would like to approve this. I'm one of the offenders that crossed Beale Parkway from First Street, but I watch Highway 98 very, very carefully, and also the traffic coming from Hollywood and Beale. Fortunately, I haven't been hit yet, but I look forward.
Thank you.
I approve it.
Okay. Anyone else? Questions? Would anyone from the public wish to speak on this item? Council, do you wish to take any motion on this item?
Yes, I make a motion to approve 2025-11 resolution approving FDOT traffic improvements on Beale Parkway.
Second.
I have a motion made by Councilwoman DeBerry, seconded by Councilman Jeter to approve Resolution 2025-11. Any additional comments, Ms. DeBerry?
Yes, thank you for supporting this, Mr. Jeter, and I believe this will help us in downtown, well, it's not downtown Fort Walton, but all the traffic that's coming on Highway 98 and more is coming down Beale Parkway as we get more and more traffic here. It's a dangerous, dangerous area down there, and I appreciate your support, Mr. Jeter, and hopefully the council also.
Councilman Jeter, any thoughts?
Yeah. Thanks, Jason, for stepping in and getting this done a faster, thinking outside the box kind of way with FDOT. Anytime we can make our roads safer and save our time and resources, valuable and precious time responding to that many crashes, it's a no-brainer. So.
Anyone else on council wish to speak? Seeing none, please vote. The resolution does pass unanimously, which brings us to item 9.3. Resolution 2025-12, a resolution regarding city property inventory for workforce housing. Mr. Gibson.
Yes, sir. So several years ago, Section 166.0451 of the Florida statutes was changed that basically required every 3 years all municipalities have to go through, do an inventory of all property that we own simple title to, and basically do an assessment on that to see if any of that would be appropriate for basically transfer or development into workforce housing on there. On January 25th, 2022, that was the first time this was brought before the council. They did adopt Resolution 2022-4, looking at the review of there, declaring that we did not have any property at that time that would be appropriate for affordable housing. On June 4th of this year, staff did request a list of all of our property. We went through that list again, and we've decided, or staff has assessed that there's no appropriate property for the use of affordable housing at that time. And with that, staff respectfully recommends City Council adoption of Resolution 2025-12, declaring that all city-owned property has been reviewed and no property has been identified appropriate for affordable housing.
Thank you, Mr. Gibson. Questions from the council for Mr. Gibson? Mr. Walker.
Just clarification of words, I guess. The subject includes workforce housing language, but the text uses the words affordable. Is there a distinction, or are you using them interchangeably?
They're pretty much interchangeable.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone else? Questions? Anyone from the public wish to speak on this item? Council, you wish to take any action?
Mayor, so move to adopt Resolution 2512, declaring that all city-owned property has been reviewed and no property has been identified appropriate for affordable or workforce housing.
Second. Motion made by Councilman Jeter, seconded by Councilman Browning to approve Resolution 2025-12, declaring that all city-owned property has been reviewed and no property has been identified appropriate for affordable housing. Any additional comments from anyone? Seeing none, please vote. It passes unanimously, which moves us to Resolution 2025-13, a resolution adopting the fiscal year 2025-30 CDBG Consolidated Plan and fiscal year 2025-26 Annual Action Plan. Once again, Mr. Gibson.
Yes, sir. So typically on an annual basis, we'll bring in the Community Development Block Grant, CDBG Annual Action Plan presented to the City Council. It's a process that starts early in the year. We go requesting applications. We work with the Citizen Advisory Council to kind of come up with what we think the funding should be allocated for that specific year. Once every 5 years, we do have to do a consolidated plan. It is much more in-depth. Part of that consolidated plan is also the annual action plan. So that's why this one this year is a little bit broader than typically is when we come in here. So for this one, the CDBG, just because I know we do have a few new members on here, for the projects on there, they must be consistent with national priorities, such as activities that benefit low and moderate income people, the prevention or elimination of slum or blight, or other community development activities that address urgent health or safety issues. We are considered to be an entitlement community, and we are required to prepare the 5-year consolidated plan and the annual action plan. So the current 2020 to 2025 5-year consolidated plan was approved by City Council on September 22nd, 2020. And for this year, for the annual action plan, we did receive $132,070, which is a little bit lower than we've received in the previous years. It has seen for the last 5 years, it's gone down a little bit every year, but not too significantly this year. The funding numbers were released a little bit later than normal this year. That's why normally we try to get this to you guys in June, so we got a little bit more time on this one. But with the delays coming out of HUD on any grants that were going to be granted this year, we didn't get the information until May 14th when we got to work with our Citizen Advisory Council for that. We did work very closely with the CAC on this one. We did have a couple of extra meetings, more than we normally do even with this one. We did receive 7 applications from a variety of nonprofits in the city, and with that one, but we also went back during the March 11th workshop with City Council. We kind of went a little bit more in-depth and deep into what the CDBG program is, and one of the guidance that we received from you at that time was possibly looking at doing a larger project rather than funding 7 or 8 smaller nonprofit organizations, which is what we've been doing in the past years there. We did work, reach out through the other divisions and departments in the city to see if anybody had ideas. We also worked very closely with our Citizen Advisory Council on there, asking them to, hey, bring us your ideas in there. In addition to that, we did start a community needs survey that we put out there. It didn't quite get the responses we were hoping for. It received a total of 63 responses to that needs survey that was put out there. Unfortunately, a large number of those responses weren't really from that low to moderate income community that we were hoping for on there. But even with that, we did work, like I said, with the CAC, and the one project that we wanted to bring before you as a possibility is the development of a park. There's 2 separate locations that we were looking at on there. One is over in the Combs Manor area, and the other one is in the Oakland Heights playground park revitalization. That's where like all the tennis courts are at in that area. Really kind of taking the bulk of that money rather than giving it out to those smaller individuals, taking the bulk of that money and really starting to invest it into development of something there. Obviously, it would look like about $105,000 we'd be able to put through that. That's not going to be a massive park, but this could be phased in over the years if we chose to kind of go down that road with these. So tonight, we've really got 2 options to present to you. Either one, the city staff is fine with, as well as the CAC. We've kind of talked through this, that they would be fine with either one. So basically, it would break it down with the planning and administration of this. We get the 20% that it goes on there, and we could even theoretically lower that, especially if we go with the one project, because there's a lot less to do for city staff at that point in time, and even invest a little bit more of that money towards the park there. Option 2 would basically be to break it down into the smaller organizations in there. Now, it's important to understand with the small breakdown that if we go that route, that there are what HUD considers public service and public facility uses in there. With the CDBG money, they really try to focus on facility type of things, not the services, because that's money that's just spent and gone, versus the investment into the public facilities that are there. There is a 15% cap on public services. So if we do go with a smaller one, there's a maximum funding of $19,810.50 that we can give out to the services. That tends to be the large number of applications we get in every year is for public service funding. So that money is very tight, and we can't really give all the money that's requested in there. I'm happy to go through the different options that are in the agenda packet there if you would like, or if you just have any questions. But at this point, staff is requesting City Council adoption of Resolution 2025-13 to approve fiscal year 2025-30 consolidated plan and the fiscal year 2025-26 CDBG annual action plan, choosing either option 1 or option 2.
Thank you, sir. We'll start with questions from the board with Mr. Jeter.
Yeah, I raised my hand and you answered the question, and it was back at that March meeting. Thank you for listening, because we did discuss doing a large project instead of the small nickels and dimes we've done for years, and we don't really see anything tangible. And my question was, we talked about one of the benefits being such a large administrative and planning costs going down. So you see that maybe being adjusted a little bit.
Yes.
If we were to go to option 1, that could go down and you get a little bit more bang for your buck.
We do pay for certain things out of there. We have some software to help us manage the grant funds that we obviously have to fund out of there. There's some education and stuff that we typically take a little bit of the money out of there. But absolutely, yeah, if it's not having to manage, we do still have to manage. Not all the money is spent in that grant year. Typically, it's a 3-year period. We try to get that money spent. So we are still managing some of the last year grants, so there will still be some planning and stuff in there, but it would not be the significant amount that it would be if we went like in option 2. It would be much less staff time to do that.
So from a community perspective and a staff perspective, it's more bang for your buck for option 1.
Sure.
Should we go with option 1, I see, or do you want a specific park listed in the motion?
We can either do that, or I mean, really for the fund that goes forward, we have to get this submitted to HUD, honestly, by the end of this week. And it would really just kind of be for park development kind of stuff. We could kind of fine tune that later on. We did do, back in March, if you remember, we talked about doing the larger ones. It would have to be at least 50% of that community would be Low to moderate income, I did run the numbers on that one already for the Combs Manor area. 95.7% of that area is considered low to moderate income, and for the Oakland Heights area, 56.8% is considered low to moderate income. So either one of those areas would qualify for that funding.
Got it.
Anyone else? Questions, Mr. Schmidt?
Just to confirm, that Oakland Heights playground, that's right there off of Holmes by the tennis center?
Yeah, that's correct. That property with the tennis center, there was a small playground there. It's really dilapidated and stuff. So that was one of the ideas, was just kind of renovate that and really create a playground.
Yeah, I like that, where that wall is, and some of those same basketball rims that have been there for a while.
Yes.
So, or that court, so good stuff. I just wanted to clarify where that was at.
I have a quick question for you as well before the rest. The park that you've mentioned, the Combs Manor Playground, that currently doesn't exist at all.
That's correct. So at the end of Combs Manor, there's some city-owned properties out there. One is there's a lift station on there. We worked with Mr. Payne on that one. He would be comfortable. We'd have to do some fencing and stuff, obviously, in there. But it's a large enough area on there that we believe we could still let Public Works have their access to the lift station and stuff that they have to go back there for maintenance on, and still develop a portion of that area into a park out in that neighborhood.
And then, so the $105,000 that's budgeted in option one, I know you said making the park in phases. What type of, as to steal a phrase from Councilman Jeter, bang for the buck for $105,000 would we get out of, like, I know you can't just bulldoze a bunch of stuff and clear whatever and then just leave gravel there for a year until we come back next year. So how would that look?
That area is actually pretty clear already. Okay. I did work a little bit with Ms. Corcoran before, trying to get some estimates on kind of stuff. We didn't really get anything narrowed down on what really that money could do. I think the best plan on that one, I think what we do is try to have some community meetings out there, whichever one we're going to do, to figure out, okay, what do we want? I mean, is this for littler kids? Is this for, middle-aged kids? Kind of what is our target audience out there for that kind of stuff, and then really kind of hit that kind of stuff. Again, we're going to have a budget on it. It's not going to be a whole lot that we can do this year, but then just kind of figure out what can we do that's going to get something out there, and then maybe build on it every year.
Fantastic. Ms. Brown.
I just wanted to say thank you so much, sir, for including both of those parks in here. And I'm trying not to be a little biased on that, but I can certainly speak on the Combs Manor area because I grew up there, and I wanted to let you know I thank you so much for including them, because I have always felt like we used to have a park. We used to have a park off of Lovejoy Road, and years ago we were promised that they were going to redo the park and give us a park. There was no park there. Once they took the park away from us, and Metric System kind of came in and set up shop there and bought the land and built their industrial business or whatever. So, but at the end of the Combs Manor, what I do know, for me, that would be something really, really special to know that there's a park or somewhere for kids to come down and play in. Because, sir, growing up, I know I used to play, go down to the creek or pond or whatever you call it, and probably at the time I didn't know I was a kid, so it was probably pretty dangerous. I used to get in trouble a lot of times from just going down and we sneak down there and play. But at the end of the day, I know exactly what you're talking about. It's not such a large area in a sense, so it probably wouldn't cost as much to put something there, but it would be my heartfelt desire to see something there. Because I know the Oakland Heights area, growing up, there's always been a park. You can play soccer. You can behind the school where, Oakland Elementary was, it was always somewhere for you to be able to, to play, or the kids, something for the youth. And for me, it would be, just a pleasure to know that there's something down at the end of Combs, because it is just sitting there, and the city is using that little area. And I just wanted to comment on it. Again, thank you so much for considering both of those areas.
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Walker, do you have a question?
I do. I guess it would be possible to do combination of 1 and 2, option 1 and 2.
Absolutely.
The reason I ask is I was listening to you say, and you mentioned it being a multi-year process. We're going to collect some money, designate some money this year, and then kind of in my mind is seeing that out, we're kind of pot committed for the next year until we get community meetings and what's going to go there. Obviously, if it's a swing set, it's one thing, but if it's covered pickleball courts, it's another thing, but, you know, just that money is not known yet. And so I was looking down there at option 2 and some of those, and, you know, I'm gonna show my bias a little bit because I'm only familiar with a few of them, but, you know, to think that we might be taking, quote, tangible, you know, a park and taking away from the Bridgeway Center Boys and Girls Club Mental Health Association, that's, you know, disappointing to me. I know they're valuable assets in the community. They provide great services. So, you know, I have a problem, me personally, not at least offering up the idea of splitting this money between some. We might have to parse down some of those in the option 2 down there, which, while I'm on it, rehab nuisance abatement sewer lateral, that doesn't have a name. Is it a project or is it a?
So a lot of times we use that project. So what we can do is we can income qualify individual homeowners. And if they qualify and they have a nuisance, like a nuisance abatement case, a code case against them with the city, typically for like roofs, you know, you see some of the blue tarp roofs out there. We can use that money to basically put new roofs on the low to moderate income homes out there. We usually kind of try to throw some money in there. Honestly, like I said, with that public services cap on there, we can only put so much to that. And then honestly, with this, like this year here, the only public facility applications we received in were for Mental Health Association for One Hopeful Place, and that's it. So that much money has to go into facilities of some sort. So kind of the nuisance abatement one is one that we in the city, we can manage while still meeting the HUD requirements to have certain amounts of that going into the public facilities pot.
Do you by chance, since we're on it, do you by no chance know how much money has been used from that fund over the last 3 to 5 years towards those abatement processes?
Probably about, don't hold me to it, but I think it's probably around 60,000 total that we've used over the past.
Okay. All right.
Councilman Schmidt. You might not have the exact GIS distance, but how far is the county park away from the proposed Combs Manor Park?
I don't know.
Okay, rough estimate.
Half a mile.
Half a mile.
Half, okay, thank you.
Okay.
About that, I'll say it half a mile.
All right, thank you.
I was dead on.
Councilman Junior.
What is the rehab nuisance abatement Councilman Walker was talking about? What is that's considered the public service? What is that cap of the funds we get that can be used on that? Did you say it already?
So any amount of money can be put into the public facilities amount. So that's where theoretically, like if we went with option 1, all of that money can go into the development of a park as a public facility. The only ones that have caps on there is the 20% cap for planning and administration and the 15% cap for the public services.
So really the rehab nuisance abatement and all that kind of stuff doesn't have a cap either. We could spend all the money on that. Okay, got it.
Additional questions? Mr. Gibson? Seeing none, anyone from the public wish to speak on this item? Yes, sir.
I got a question I'd like to know.
If you could please come up to the podium, I'm sorry. We have that formality.
Yes, sorry about that. My question is, what constitutes a park as for real? Because I was raised up on Upper Circle. The basketball court, that's all we refer to as a basketball court. It's never been seen in our eyes as a park. And then you asked about the park in Sylvania Heights, the one behind Combs, Opportunity Place on the shirt. That, in the Opportunity Place, you know, we're dealing with foster kids there. Then we have the little kids in the neighborhood. I, too, am biased. I've worked in that area. I live close to that area. But I think they do need something down on the other end as well, because it gets overcrowded. And when you start mixing too many adults with the children, and the park that you spoke of behind Opportunity Place is mostly for the children or the younger kids in the community. But the bigger kids, the older kids, the high school kids, they need a place to go, be able to go play ball and not take the park away from the little kids out there in the Sylvania Heights area. That's all I'd like to add on.
Thank you, sir. Yes, ma'am. Please come up, state your name and address.
Hi, I'm Virginia Barr. Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
I'm from the Mental Health Association. I'm one of those nickel and dime organizations that depends heavily on whatever kind of funding you can help us with. The Mental Health Association has been around for 68 years. The building we're in is probably older than 60. We don't charge for anything that we do. We throw about $30,000 or $40,000 a year into this community, buying psychiatric medications for people who don't have the money to stay well, to buy therapy for children. And we don't have a problem in the world about a park, about a larger project. But our donors will give to programs and services. They're not so much interested in buying us a repair of our 2 bathrooms. We are the community parking lot over on Kenwood subdivision. Everybody parks there. We get a lot of people in and out of there. We do a lot of community meetings there. Everything we do is free. We're asking for $16,000 to get the laminate out of the walls that are breaking in the back of the MHA, to put in ADA compliant bathrooms, toilets, sinks, grab bars. We don't have those. You've helped us before, and when you say you don't get to see a lot of that, you're not around for the day when you helped us with our roof, just as the monsoon began in our town, and it started leaking through, but we had the money from you to be able to get it fixed. It was a crisis. Please help us. We help our community. Please help us if you can find the middle road between the park and the community and the nonprofits. If there's a way to do that, to do both, I beg you to take a look at it. Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am. And thank you for what you do in the community. Mr. Gray.
I'm Barry Gray at 217 Burning Avenue. I just want to expound on, there was a park study done on data and statistics for a park before you build Jet Drive. It was done by University of West Florida. If you read that study, ask each councilman to read that study, it tells you if you do a park in the city of Fort Walton, what neighborhood was deprived from a park. It says the Combs community. It says the nearest park was in Mary Esther. And it said if the city spent money on a park, the best place to put a park would be in that area. I gave the staff a copy of the city maps of parks. Only place that wasn't a park at was the Combs community. So I sit on the CDBG board, so when we make those decisions, it was made on statistics and stats. We had a park, when I grew up in Lovejoy, it was with Metric Building. It was shut down in 1977. We was told we was gonna get a new park. It's 2025, that park hasn't came yet. So there was a reason we don't just sit down and say, okay, we're gonna put money here. We sit down, do the study, talk to people, look at the certain situation. So we basically put a lot in those decisions on the CDBG board. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. And Mr. Gray, I say this every year, but thank you for everything that you've done in bringing this money to our community so that we have these decisions to make. Anyone else from the public wish to speak on this item? Seeing none, do we have a motion from council?
Mr. Mayor, I move to adopt Resolution 2513 to approve fiscal year 25 to 30 consolidated plan and the fiscal year 25-26 CDBG annual action plan. To choose option 1 as recommended by the Citizens Advisory Committee.
Second. A motion made by Councilman Jeter and seconded by Councilman Schmidt to approve Resolution 2025-13 and select option 1. Councilman Jeter.
I know we're trying to make this quick. We got another meeting. I could elaborate forever on this. We've sat here for multiple years in the past, and while I certainly support mental health and I support a lot of the programs listed down here, we've sat here in many of the years past with this quote unquote nickel and dime bang for the buck. I'll keep using those since I started it, but sometimes at the end of the year, these programs didn't even use all of that money, and we're wasting a lot of staff's time going back and figuring out, well, they didn't use that. How much did they use? We got to do this. So that's where the nickel and dime phrase comes in. The second thing is you get more bang for your buck when we do one project. I'll let Councilmember Schmidt and Councilwoman Riley decide on Oakland Heights or Combs Manor or where it decides to go, but I know either one of those, ultimately a park in the community, like Mr. Gray said, will also somehow in the long run contribute to mental health as well, because a kid growing up playing on a playground is just a great thing. I won't get into all the reasons why I think why. And I was going to go with an option 3 and mix, because I also like the nuisance and abatement that Councilman Walker said, because we have seen those be really great projects. So what I'd like to see going forward is large ticket items. If option 1 should pass, and maybe it's a park this year, but next year or in many years to come, when I'm not up here on this board and you guys are, my experience is put it all towards rehab, nuisance, and abatement, all $100,000. You'll fix up 5 houses. Put it all towards a park, you'll get a nice park. When you break it down too many ways, you kind of spin your wheels. So I could keep going, but that's my input.
Thank you, sir. Councilman Schmidt.
Yeah, to kind of piggyback off of what he was saying, you know, each year that option 2 list gets longer and longer. You know, the asks are they're out there. And like what he was saying, to administer who's used the funds, who hadn't used the funds, hey, since you haven't used all the funds, it makes it really tough to not only administer, but also where do you draw the line? So we encourage, like Mr. Gibson said, we encourage staff at a workshop to bring us back some of the larger projects that can make also an impact. So it's tough sometimes because you're in a position where you have to pick between a playground and mental health. You know, but that's what we're here and obligated to do. I'd lean more towards, especially after hearing Mr. CC talk about the distance between where the county park is and the city park, I'm leaning towards Combs Manor Playground, and I'd like to go that route. With I know your motion was more just option 1, the Combs Manor but hopefully a few other people on council will also lean towards Combs Manor so we can give some staff direction on what to do with that $105,000.
Yeah, we all switch to substitute motions, Mr. Schmidt.
There's that play too. Thank you.
Councilman Walker.
I may make a substitute motion because just to see those other organizations down there do without. What I'm having trouble reconciling is, while I know it's CDBG funding, we've got a former, I think it was last estimated at close to $8 million park expansion over at the rec center with covered pickleball courts. And I know that's somewhere out there in the Ethernet. Why couldn't our regular funding that we've used for park expansion at the rec center that's now not going to be covered, why can't that, I mean, I know it's crazy to say it, but $132,000 compared to an $8 million expansion over the existing rec center. Let's fund Combs Manor, Oakland Heights with the money that we saved there, and then come down to option 2 and spend our money down there with those deserving organizations in the community. I love parks, I love athletics, but I just think the money's there outside of CDBG funding that we could do both. We could do both.
Just as a point of clarification, and I would add that I do know you love sports, and I do know you volunteer your time to be a part of boards in our community that deal with youth sports. But just as a point of clarification, that project, the expansion of the park, what was the bid, or what was the price that we put out?
I think they're around $6 million, but it's out for bid right now. We haven't gotten it back yet.
That's right. The bids come back this week, and I think that's tourism money paying for some of that.
Right. I just wanted to clarify that it wasn't $8 million, and we did remove the covered pickleball courts. Is that correct? Okay. Just for clarification to the public who's maybe never heard of that project before.
Me.
All right, Ms. DeBerry.
Thank you. As far as the park is concerned, let me tell you, Jet Park, that's located on Jet Drive and Holmes, was a sad state of affairs whenever I first came on council here. I stuck my neck out and I begged, for a bathroom. It was $125,000 we had to spend for that bathroom. We didn't have the infrastructure, we didn't have the electricity, the water, the sewer, nothing. And it was falling. That park was sad. I want you to go by there, and it's beautiful. People take pride. We have people, pickleball courts, let me tell you, and I'm down there all the time, and I said, well, we have a lot of people from all over, not just Fort Walton Beach residents, but people from all over, even Destin, Mary Esther, Navarre, the county, come there. I know, well, why can't we do this and why can't we do this? We have Impact 100 also that offers a $100,000 grant. You have to apply for it, Ms. Garner.
I was a founder of Impact.
Well, I know, that's why I'm referring to you. So please apply for it again and again and again and again. But what I'm getting at, I vote for Combs Park. Is it Combs New Heights over there? Yeah. On Combs Manor and everything. You need that. It will bring, even though we're not feeding everybody or what, but just having a beautiful park and get out there. Hey, we're over there. They says, well, you need to do that. I said, bring your own blowers and get the sand off of there. You can do that. How come you can't do that? Well, get your rake over there and help us out. And this is what I ask your people to do also over in Combs Manor. Work together. It'll bring yourself up, and I'm all for that.
Thank you, ma'am. Anyone else wish to speak? Mr. Merrill.
Yeah, I'm torn. A lot of these resolutions, a lot of things go 7-0, they're easy. This one, everything's deserving, but I'm going to agree with Mr. Walker here a little bit more. Because my concern, I'd love to see a park, and I don't think that we should stop, but when we talked about the half-cent sales tax and we talked about projects that aren't recurring, there's other sources that we could go with that. And it's my understanding that that the smaller ones depend on this so much more and maybe don't have as many resources or many other alternatives to find that. So even a substitute motion that started something with the parks and allotted some money and then we came behind, I would like to see something like that to get it finished. I also don't want to see a park started. If we think we can build a park for $105,000, then I would be all about it. But I think we would allot some money, and I think it would take time. I think we'd have to come back with some money behind that anyways. And I would just hate to see some of these that depend so much on this get overlooked. So a substitute motion or a motion after this that saw a third option would be there for me.
Thank you, Mr. Merrill. Anyone else for the first time? Mr. Jeter.
I was going to say I had a question for Tiffany. I know we just put in the Peters Park over there and redid a bunch of equipment for like $50,000-$60,000. The land's already there. I was just going to say I think we can do a nice park for that amount of money. Secondly, I just wanted to go on the record, regardless of how the vote goes, and say that Councilman Walker earlier said that he is willing to spend 2 to 3 times this amount of money. And I just love to hear that. When Councilman Walker's ready to spend money on parks, I just love it. Regardless of how this vote goes, let's make sure we spend.
Someone write that down.
Please make sure that is in the minutes the next time.
Mr. Davis.
Just point for consideration, sorry. Previously, where I've worked, we eliminated some of these smaller, one, the oversight issue, but two, they're eligible for all kinds of other grants they can chase, and we kind of put that back on them. It just kind of became a support process for that. Another concern I do have is I feel like I don't have good data right now. I haven't had time to evaluate the park's operation. So if I'm adding another park and I don't have the manpower to maintain what we have, I'm a little concerned there that we're going to be putting ourselves in a deeper hole. I just haven't had time to evaluate it. So just a thought.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else from council for a second time? Mr. Jeter,
third time. Just to clarify that, I totally agree with what you're saying, but if it were, regardless of what park it is, why I left it option 1, maybe Combs Manor is next year, but maybe this year Oakland Heights, there's already a park there, and this money goes into a large improvement to an existing park that's already there. We're already maintaining, that has a lot of blight in a community.
I'm good with any path, I just wanted to.
And we left it option 1 as the motion for staff to decide how we can best do that. Got it.
Mr. Burns, what do you think about some clarification on this motion? Because if it does pass, it is open to interpretation of staff to decide whether or not, the Oakland Heights Park is revitalized with $105,000, or if a new park is planned, or any number of things for Combs Manor. I think that this motion kind of leaves a lot of ambiguity in that arena.
If you're leaning towards Combs Manor, someone needs to make a substitute motion that they want that park picked.
Yes, please.
Okay.
And so that substitute motion then would be voted on first before the original motion.
Okay, so does anyone wish to make that substitute motion?
Clarify that again for me.
We would need a substitute motion just to clarify which of these parks, if this were to pass, Mr. Jeter's motion, whether it would be the Combs Manor Playground Park or the Oakland Heights Playground Park revitalization.
And so the substitute motion would be you're picking option 1, but you want Combs Manor to be the park that's funded. That's what you would make the motion.
I'll stick with that one.
Oh, so I guess she just made a motion.
So are you making that motion?
I'm making the motion for
Okay.
Combs Manor.
So we have a motion from Mr. Berry. Do we have a second on that motion?
I'll second it.
All right.
I understand
Yes, Mayor. So we have a motion from Ms. DeBerry, seconded by Ms. Riley, to designate option one's money, the $105,656, to go toward a Combs Manor playground / park. Correct?
Correct.
All right. So I think we've had plenty of talk about this, so if you guys can vote now on the substitute motion. Remember, this is if this motion is to pass, this is where the money would go. That does pass 5-2.
Thank you.
Okay, so now we will have a vote on Councilman Jeter's.
Actually, that's the motion. So all the money's going to the Combs Manor Park.
Well, don't we still need to have a vote on Councilman Jeter's original motion?
It was a substitute, not
motion
amendment.
overrides the original motion.
All right. Well, then hot dog.
If they would have amended
Glad to see that's over.
it. Just to clarify, Mr. Burns, an amendment to my motion would have required a vote on both, correct?
Correct, yeah.
Okay. I would also like to just briefly add that I think that this is something that's, and Ms. DeBerry, I'm glad that you made that substitute motion. And Ms. Riley, I'm glad that you seconded that motion. Councilman Schmidt, I'm happy and heartened to hear your words. I certainly would agree strongly with Mr. Walker and Mr. Merrill as well that, you know, programs like mental health and whatever the city can do to help not only fund those, but facilitate grants from other organizations is something that, you know, I would really like to see the continuation of. But I think it is long overdue. As Mr. Gray said, 1977 was when that park was removed from that community. And what Councilman Jeter touched on very briefly as well, and I know he's very passionate about it, is just getting kids outside, getting kids out of the house, getting teenagers out of the house, having a place for teenagers to go and hang out. That doesn't mean that everything that goes on at a park is going to be great. We've got a lot of parks in our cities. Sometimes there's disagreements. Sometimes there's stuff that goes on in parks that you wouldn't necessarily want. That's going to happen in any park, anywhere in our country. But every community should have its own park for its young people and middle-aged people and elderly people where they can go, let off some steam, get some exercise, get some fresh air, vitamin D, etc. So I really hope that this is the beginning of the process in designating that money to the Combs Manor Park. But I think that there's a lot more work to be done there, and I'm hopeful that this council is willing to kind of see some of that through, maybe with the advice of Mr. Walker and some of the savings that we could realize on other projects dumping into that. So just wanted to add that statement since I don't get to say much or vote on anything anymore.
Mr. Mayor, I want to just to make sure, because, you know, I'm not going to be sour about this, but I just want to make sure that I probably missed an opportunity there to, we have, I looked, it'll come up in a later discussion, our priorities, police safety, vagrancy, and park and rec expansion. So in my mind, tonight was one opportunity that we have to fund those Category 2 entities, whereas parks and recs, we fund it all the time. It's a priority, but it required CBDG funding in order to get a special park open. We could have funded both of them theoretically with the money that we spend on park and rec expansion, but these people down there again in Group 2, they only get to come to us one time. They're not a part of the group. And I was like, how is that? I mean, we had Sparks, Mr. Sparks that's here. We had the Chamber was here. They got 20,000. We got several of those people that got 20,000, and then these people that do bring boys and girls into the mix and youth and mental health and stuff. And I just feel terrible that we could have funded those parks with our commitment to expanding parks and recs, and we've left the group in Category 2 out. So I'm saddened by that. Thank you.
I certainly understand, and I appreciate where you're coming from. Let's move on to item 9.5, Resolution 2025-14, a resolution adopting the Citizen Participation Plan for the Community Development Block Grant. Once again, Mr. Gibson.
I figured I'd knock all these out while you're getting used to the CDBG all at once. So the Citizen Participation Plan is essentially what outlines how we're going to process all of our CDBG process throughout the year. Our existing plan was written over 17 years ago. It has been one thing that since I've been with the city, I wanted to update and change because it's vague. It references public meeting versus public hearing. There's a lot of room for interpretation in there as far as like publications and outreach and a lot of stuff like that. This is something that we really started really diving into it last year. 24 CFR 91.105 actually outlines all the requirements for the HUD Citizen Participation Plan in there. We did go through there. We were meeting the letter of the law for the CFR, but we really did try to clarify that just to make sure that we're actually hitting everything that's in there. It made it a lot easier to read. We added a definition section in there just to make it a lot more understood. And there was also just a few other things in there, like term limits for our citizen participation, our Citizen Advisory Council that was on there. They self-appoint and then they appoint their replacements through a vote in there. There was term limits on there, even though we've got some very dedicated people that have been doing this for years and years and they want to continue. So really we kind of took what reality was and made the documentation match that while still meeting the intent of CFR. We did present this plan to the Citizen Advisory Council on April 22nd, 2025. They had a few comments and stuff. We did take those back, made those changes and brought it back to them on July 2nd of this year, where they made the motion to recommend approval from City Council. And with that, staff respectfully recommends adoption of 2025-14, adopting the Citizen Participation Plan for the Community Development Block Grant.
Questions on this for Mr. Gibson? Would anyone from the public like to speak on this item? Council, you wish to take any action?
Move to adopt Resolution 2514 to adopt the Citizen Participation Plan for the CDBG grant program.
Second.
Motion made by Councilman Jeter, seconded by Councilwoman DeBerry to approve 2025-14 as a resolution. Additional comments?
Thank you, Mr. Tim. Thank you to the citizens that are involved. They've obviously been listening for the last year, and that's how we got to this point. So thank you.
Council, please vote. And that motion does pass unanimously. That brings us to ordinances on first reading. Item 10.1. Ordinance 2187, amending the COO section 9.06. Loud and unusual noises. Mr. Burns.
Ordinance number 2187, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Fort Walton Beach, Florida, repealing and replacing in its entirety Code of Ordinances, Chapter 9.06, titled Loud and Unusual Noises Prohibited, creating Section 9.06.01, titled Intent, creating Section 9.06.02, titled Definitions, creating Section 9.06.03, titled Exemptions, creating Section 9.06.04, titled Code Violation, Code Enforcement Penalties, creating Section 9.06.05, titled Criminal Violation, Criminal Penalties, creating Section 9.06.06, titled Civil Causes of Action, provide for severability, provide for an effective date. This is first reading. Chief Page will present on that for the staff, and if you have any questions, I can answer as well.
Chief Page, thanks.
Mayor, council, guests, the existing noise ordinance was passed on August 10th, 2021. It's effectively impossible to enforce. It requires a 40-hour course and a calibrated decibel meter. Noise ordinances requiring extensive training or decibel meters have shown to be very difficult to enforce because attorneys often impeach the training and methodology behind them. Many jurisdictions have moved to a plainly audible standard, which is what we're going to present to you tonight. On June 24th, 2025, the city attorney drafted an ordinance for your review and submitted for feedback and comment. The existing ordinance that I'm about to go over would replace our current noise ordinance. To provide some highlights in the new ordinance, the downtown entertainment district would be exempt from the noise ordinance between 9 a.m. and 2 a.m. The CRA area would be exempt from 9 to midnight. Live music where alcohol is licensed to be sold would be exempt from 10 a.m. to midnight. The military operations and activities would be exempted from the ordinance. Construction noise would be exempt between 6 a.m. and 10 p.m. during the week and 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. on Saturday and Sunday with no construction noise on observed federal holidays. Outside noise events would be allowed between 6 a.m. and 10 p.m. On the 4th of July, December 31st, and January 1st, firework sounds would be allowed. Organized athletics would be allowed between 8 a.m. and 10 p.m. if they created noise. Landscaping and lawn maintenance activities would be allowed between 6 a.m. and 10 p.m. and again on 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. on Saturdays and Sundays. Law enforcement activities, emergency medical technicians and firefighters, noise would also be exempt. City-sponsored events would be exempt, and any event that had a permit issued by the city manager would also be exempt from this. Vehicles operating and causing noise are covered under State Statute 316-293. Vessels and boats which do not have modified exhaust systems would also be exempt from this. And any alarm that went off for less than 15 minutes would be exempt, and a burglar alarm that went off for longer than 15 minutes could be cited for an unusual or loud noise. The enforcement behind this would be a plainly audible standard from 50 feet from either the 50 feet from the property line. So an officer would just have to hear the noise plainly audible from 50 feet from the property line from where the noise is occurring. The first offense would be a written warning. The second offense would be a $100 fine. The third offense would be a $250 fine. And if you were to get to a fourth offense, it would be a misdemeanor with possibly a $500 fine. Any violation which occurred after 15 minutes would be treated as a second violation. And Mayor, I turn it over for any questions or comments.
Thank you, Chief Page. Questions on this noise ordinance from Chief Page? Mr. Walker? Just there on that last part, I was reading it. So, you know, a lot of our properties have smaller setbacks than 50 feet. So there's a house that maybe an alleged noise is coming from. And so the officer shows up and will determine where the property line is. And then it's 50 feet away from it. Is it from the front, the side, or the back?
It'd probably be wherever they could legally access to hear the noise from.
It would be still the property line, though, so that's where you...
But 50 feet from there?
From the property line.
From the property line. So you'd be over in potentially the neighbor's yard, on the far side of the neighbor's yard. You know, we think about coming and standing on the property line and going, I can hear it. And it's like, no. It's 50 feet that way you've got to go.
Yes.
Not on the property line. You got to hear it there. And I was reading here that just the officer doesn't have to make out the audible word. I can't tell you what the sentence said, but I heard someone speaking, so therefore it's plainly audible. But you also used the word when measured from the 50 feet or more. So measured 50 feet, not the sound is not measured. So just out of curiosity, from a law enforcement, I mean, are you recording it? I mean, what is, obviously, if you go out there and you're not, one of the officers is out there and they're standing over there and they're like, I can hear it. Does their camera hear it as well? Or is it just his or her word against his and her word?
I mean, it's like anything else in enforcement. It's generally the officer's testimony with the totality of evidence that is gathered. So the body-worn camera could be additional evidence that is used in the case. Not every sound is always captured on the body-worn camera because the mic is somewhat directional. So if there is captured on the body-worn camera, that would only strengthen the case when it came in front of a special magistrate.
And in fact, it's the human ears hearing it, not the camera, that matters for the police officer investigating the situation. The video camera being at the noise could be used possibly to teach the officer, but Chief Page said that probably actually supports the argument.
I could see that definitely supporting it. I can only imagine how tricky it is. And there will be some tricks here with this, obviously. I mean, is there going to be a mark on the soil where I was standing? I mean, because what you were saying where they're practically hard to enforce the other ones, but obviously, I mean, are they marking their spot 50 feet away? Were they 44 feet away? Or are they 52 feet? I mean, there's got to be some training coming up on that, right?
So there's different ways we can measure the distance. One way to measure the distance would be property lines like you spoke about. So if you know a house has an 80-foot or 100-foot wide property line from the property appraiser's website, you could just go to that one adjacent property and you know you're greater than 100 foot away from the noise. You could also get the right-of-way. The right-of-ways are generally 30-foot long, so 30-foot wide, so you can also measure the right-of-way and then figure out where the other 20 feet are. If it is somebody that is a speed enforcement officer and they have a traffic enforcement laser, the laser will also provide you distances, and you can get down to the fraction of an inch with a traffic laser. But the easiest way would probably go to the property appraiser's website, see what the lot size is for the neighbor's lot, and it would be greater than 50 foot. So if you had an 80-foot wide, 100-foot wide, a 200-foot yard, you could document that you stood at the property line from the adjacent property, which is 200 foot from the property line of the noise and meeting property. And if you could plainly hear it from 200 feet, you'd be well in excess of the 50 feet. The same thing would hold true if the property was 80 foot wide.
Well, I wish you much luck with it. I think it's going to be the next game of cat and mouse, with you facing challenges about that. So I know we all have a good intent of, you know, keeping things quiet in the community where we can. So good, I wish us all best of luck there. Thank you.
Councilman Jeter.
I think almost every ordinance and law you guys have to enforce is ultimately a game of cat and mouse and the totality of the evidence and all that kind of stuff. So I want to rely on this because we've been here and we've heard a lot of complaints from that podium about noise, whether it's a specific property or a specific individual. We've heard this for years. We've tried to combat this and run this parallel to other things we're going to do. So I'm going to do my best to rely on council, and I know that Mr. Burns has done his homework and gathered all the options from surrounding communities that have enforceable ordinances on this, and you've taken that and said, this works, we're going to use it. What we currently have doesn't work. Is that correct?
That's correct.
You've done your homework. I'm going to count on you to say this is a lot more enforceable than the previous game of cat and mouse we have with the decibel meter, right? And it goes back to everything else we've done, and we say it every time. This may not be perfect yet, but this is better than what we had, right?
Correct. It's like playing cat and mouse with an elephant versus a rat. So this is a lot easier.
Based on the trust I have in you two, I appreciate your work in bringing this forward. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else with questions on this for Chief Pitch?
I just noticed something here on that cat and mouse, maybe, I mean, for what it's worth. You know, I'm envisioning a car sitting out in front of a home, and it's boom, boom, boom. It's out on the car, it's out on the street, and then it references the source property line. So the person is
So something on the right-of-way is covered under state statute, so I gave out the state statute 316 point something.
Okay.
So a vehicle causing noise on the public right-of-way would be covered under the state statute. The state statute talks about 25 feet from the source. So you measure 25 feet from the vehicle, and if you can hear the noise from greater than 25 feet from the vehicle, the state would assume that it was in violation of the state statute.
And that state statute's not applicable from top to bottom for these other
The state statute only
violations?
covers vehicles. So if we want to cover anything besides a vehicle, that's where the city ordinance comes in.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Anyone else with questions on this for Chief Page?
I do know there was one council member who did raise some concerns about one item, and I think it was Councilman Browning. Did you want to address that?
Yeah, it's just not a question, it's more of a statement, so I'm just kind of waiting.
I appreciate that, Councilman Browning. Sincerely do. Anyone else from the public wish to speak on this item? Yes, ma'am.
Lisa Courtney, 221 Beechview Drive. I greatly appreciate this. I think it's for our purposes, it's gonna be much easier to, I believe, enforce, and we greatly appreciate all of it that you've done. With one little caveat, is just to reconsider, please, making the morning hour back to 7 a.m. instead of 6 a.m. 6 a.m. is awfully early. Just saying. But thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Courtney, and please do share the results of this with all your neighbors and friends over there in the Beechview community. And I do agree that 6 a.m. is early, just in period in life. Anyone else from the public wish to speak? Do we have a motion from council on this item?
Mayor, so move staff's recommendation.
Second.
A motion made by Councilman Schmidt, seconded by Councilman Jeter to approve this ordinance 2187, amending section 9.06 for loud, there's one right on cue. Loud and unusual noises. Additional comments, Mr. Schmidt?
Yeah, just want to thank you as a representation of Beachview. You know, it's been a very long process. And then, you know, you mentioned earlier on in the evening about SB 180, which is a whole nother statutorily state thing that is really taking home rule away from us to be able to best manage not only our city, but these kind of things where, so thank you for continuing to advocate. And like Mayor said, not everybody is going to be watching this from Beachview, and we got a lot of good comments from them throughout this process and not so good comments. So please encourage them that we're listening, we're taking action, but unfortunately the action doesn't always go as quick as what we all would like it. So thank you for seeing this through, and that's why I made the motion, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Councilman. Anyone else, Mr. Jeter, wish to speak?
Well said, no sir.
All right. Councilman Browning.
I'd like to amend the motion.
Okay.
If possible. I want to approve staff recommendation, but just change exemption 1 from 2 a.m. to 11:59 p.m. I mean, I just think it's a bit excessive. People live down there, and I know people have mentioned, you know, knowing what you get into when you move downtown or whatever, but Indianola was built, I think, 05 or 06. I mean, how many of these bars and stuff were down there back then? So do they really know what they were getting into? You know, I don't know, but I think it levels it all out with the CRA as well.
So we have an amendment to the motion. Do we have a second to that amendment?
Second for discussion.
Okay. Councilman Jeter has seconded. I do believe Mr. Browning kind of explained, but if you'd like to expound on that at all, sir.
You said that puts it in line with the current CRA district, so it's basically mirroring the downtown overlay district with the CRA district, is that?
Correct. So going from 9 a.m. to 11:59 with the community redevelopment district. So exemption 2.
Right. Mr. Burns, what's the process of, is there a first and second reading? We got the second reading coming up.
This would, if y'all did approve of Mr. Logan, or Mr. Browning's amendment, this would kick it back to another first reading just because it makes the ordinance more restrictive. If y'all
but if we kept
restricted by making it, say, 3 a.m. instead of 2 a.m., then we could go to the second reading, making that change. But because that gives more rights, basically, if we're taking rights away from a member of the public to make noise, then it needs to go back to first reading. So this would come back with his change at first reading at the second August meeting. So it was not.
So he wouldn't be able to make that change between this first reading getting approved and the second reading. What you're saying, it would start over again and kick it back to the
first reading at the next meeting. That's the only thing to draw out.
Yeah, I just struggle. I want it to all match. It's just like Councilman Schmidt said too. We want to make everybody happy, but at the same time, I think you've been here for the last 2 or 3 years, so this is the position I'm in right now. Do you keep, and Councilmember Smith, who was up here all the time, we say all the time, do we keep kicking the can and say, well, it's not perfect, let's wait. We're back in the same boat 6 months later trying to get the times correct, so that's tough.
I have a question for you real quick, Chief Biggs, as well. If this amendment were to take hold, businesses that are not necessarily downtown near Indianola, but businesses that are in that district, for example, the Block. Now is the Block going to be cited by police for noise ordinances at 11:59?
I mean, it depends if their sound would be plainly audible from more than 50 feet from the property line. If they're well insulated, it would not matter, but yes, if they could hear it. I was just going to bring up for reference, the current noise ordinance allows Friday and Saturday till 2 a.m. in the downtown business district. And then during the week, it is midnight in the downtown business district, just for a point of reference.
And so that's what it is right now?
Correct. Right now, on a Friday or Saturday night, you could have noise in the downtown business district till 2 a.m.
Okay. And so the new ordinance kept that same?
It pretty much mirrors it. It keeps it till 2 a.m. Yes.
And that's 7 days a week?
Correct. And the new ordinance is 7 days a week. The old ordinance is only 2 days a week.
And so your amendment, Mr. Browning, is just to change that 2 a.m. to 11:59, 7 days or 5 days?
I mean, it's written as 7 days, so I mean, we can keep dicing it up if we want, but.
Okay.
But your amendment is to make it match what's currently there, which would be?
If your amendment is to make it 11:59 Monday through Friday and 2 a.m. on the weekends, then that would not be making it more restrictive on anybody.
That's what I was doing.
All right.
Yeah.
Perfect.
And when you come back to second reading, that change, that.
Sunday through Thursday, right? Friday, Saturday is good to go.
Yep.
I mean, I have a business downtown, and if, I don't care, we're gonna close between 10 and midnight on the weekdays anyways. I like the less restrictive because I think you, as a business, you want to be a good neighbor while you're down there. You want to be a good steward of that. You don't want, so you take personal responsibility when you do that. But I mean, I don't see an issue with it if we leave the weekends. I don't want to, it's not just about me, but I think people would be more agreeable to that as well. So I would, if that's the case, then I don't have an issue. I was about to. That's tough.
We get people in here for trash, getting picked up all day long from Indianola. So.
I feel like we're finding some common ground here. Anyone else wish to comment on the amendment to the motion? Seeing none, let's vote on the amendment. Correct? Mr. Burns?
Correct. Well, actually, effectively, it was a substitute motion, is what he meant to do.
Oh.
He didn't call it amendment because the original mover needed to agree to the amended motion to make it all as one motion.
Okay.
So if we vote on this passes.
This passes, yeah.
This is it.
This is first reading.
First reading, right.
And we would go, and under this, we would go to a second reading moving forward because it is not
Correct.
less restrictive.
And then the verbiage will actually be changed slightly to say Monday through Friday, 11:59 p.m. The weekends,
Friday, Saturday, 2 a.m.,
Yeah.
which is what it currently is now. Okay. Cool. So everybody.
While we're dicing this thing up, would it make it more restrictive for her proposal to make it from 6 to 7? It would?
Yes.
God dang it, yeah, I'm out.
Can I ask you, Chief, was
Never
that
get this
6
thing.
a.m., and maybe I missed it, at 6 a.m. when you talked about a neighborhood, I heard the lawn professionals, was that for something else as well? Did I miss
The
that?
majority of noise would all be allowable at 6
By
a.m.
6 a.m., so somebody could blast a speaker?
Correct.
Van Halen, Panama.
But then it goes
in the
back to the
backyard.
first reading again. It's more restrictive, so we'd have to do this first reading all over again. So like Mr. Jeter mentioned, how much do we keep doing this and getting it perfect? So, yeah, it's.
I don't want to keep, I feel like we're in anatomy class and we're dissecting this, but why would, if we're at 6 now and we're going to 7, that's more restrictive? Wouldn't that be less
You're
restrictive?
taking the right of the ability to make the noise.
For the other side, okay, I got you now.
No, I can't cut
I mean,
the grass till
then we
6:30.
can,
7 o'clock.
I wish I could get some of my kids to sleep past 6. I'd be
The old
late.
ordinance is at 7.
The old one does.
Yeah, the old is
Okay,
7. So if you look at the old ordinance, it's 7. It's 7 a.m. for noises.
Is that for all noises or is that for lawn noises?
The old ordinance is written a little bit different. It doesn't really differentiate between construction, lawn. It's just noises that produce a decimal level greater than.
There you go. Then that's not as sure. You could go to 7 a.m. too. If you want. Another.
Chief Asian.
And then
How about recreation?
Parks and Recreation, under the new ordinance. So under the new ordinance, when I read out Parks and Rec,
That's when you and I first met, remember?
You said it was 8 to 10,
it has, yeah, I'll tell you what it is right now.
but you also said any city-sponsored activity is exempt.
Correct, yes. City-sponsored activities are exempt. Organized athletic contests are the hours of 8 a.m. to 10 p.m.
Yeah.
Does that include the blowers and all that stuff, or just noise, music and stuff?
That would be lawn.
Yeah, so it would depend on, yes, what the actual noise was generated from. I believe the 8 to 10 would be the actual hitting of the ball, the yelling of the crowd, the announcers and everything
I
else.
can live with that.
Yes, sir.
Just so that we're all here, can we add a friendly amendment to Mr. Browning's amendment if you're okay with it, since it's less restrictive and we don't have to go back to the first reading to get beach views 7 a.m.?
Yep.
And that's 7 a.m. for everything that's at 6 a.m. in the ordinance. Is that true?
Yeah.
That's a good question, Mr. Burns. I'm trying to keep the noise where it's not 6 a.m. and maybe 7 a.m. for Beachview. And all the other residents that don't want to hear a whole bunch of noise at 6 a.m. So
But it's
wherever
currently
that
at
fits.
7, right?
It's cool at 7.
As
It
Chief
is.
Dave said, it's currently at 7, so we're not changing anything.
That's not
Other
the
than
issue.
we're changing this new ordinance to be back to the same time.
But there's just other things besides lawn maintenance that are 6 a.m. So do y'all want to change all 6 a.m. references to
Any
7 a.m.?
loud noises at 6 a.m.?
Or unusual.
Or unusual, thank you for that.
Which are all. Okay.
Yeah, all, so yeah, all.
Kind of a derivative of
This would mean you wouldn't be able to cut your lawn.
Just rewrite the whole thing.
Does this mean your kids can't go outside?
You started that.
Your kids can't go outside at 6:30 now and run and play?
Listen, like Mayor Allegretto said, 6 a.m. is early.
They can run outside and play, they just can't make loud and unusual noises. Kids playing is kind of a normal noise. I think we'd be all right. All right, any other additional amendments? I believe what we're now voting on is the exact noise ordinance that Mr. Burns has proposed with Mr. Browning's amendment that will change that downtown area to Monday through Thursday to 11:59 p.m. instead of 2 a.m. But keep intact the Friday and Saturday 2 a.m. thing.
What about Sunday? Wait, so we're Sunday.
I'm sorry, Sunday through Thursday.
It's
Yeah,
Sunday.
My bad. And then Councilman Schmidt's amendment to change that original opening noise from 6 a.m. to 7 a.m. And then didn't we have one last one? That's it.
I think
Okay. All right. So council, please vote before we talk more.
It's a good thing there's a second reading. We don't we can read this.
We'll get it all sorted out then.
I forgot who's doing this.
And that's all right. All right, that does pass 7-0. You guys really worked that out beautifully. That brings us on to item 10.2, Ordinance 2189, amending the Land Development Code, Chapter 9, and its administrative procedures. Once again, Mr. Frasetta.
Thank you, Mayor, Council.
Actually, hold on. Ordinance number 2189, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Fort Walton Beach, Florida, amending Chapter 9 of the Land Development Code to update the process for handling subdivision plats, request to comply with Florida statute, provide for authority, provide for severability, and provide for an effective date.
All right, now, Mr. Frasetta, sorry about that.
So this item, as read in the title by Mr. Burns, relates to a recent bill that was passed during the legislative session, Senate Bill 784, was signed into law on June 20th and became effective on July 1st. And basically what this is, it amends Section 177 of Florida statute regarding subdivision plats and replats. And what it requires is that effective July 1st, any subdivision plats and replats must be signed basically at the staff level instead of administratively through staff instead of coming to City Council for final approval. So what we've done is we've amended a couple of sections in Chapter 9 of our Land Development Code just to be consistent with this new statute. And it has a few terms and conditions as far as the timelines for basically doing our initial sufficiency or completeness check, and then we have to specify during that process to the applicant how long it takes, or how long it will take to get through to the final decision process for these subdivision plats. So we've added just a few sentences basically in there. We've cleaned up the approval table that we show how things are approved in the Land Development Code to say that moving forward all subdivision plats will be approved by the development administrator in accordance with the timeframes that we established in there, just to be consistent with statute. So this did go to our LPA as well last week for recommending for approval. And with that, staff is respectfully recommending the adoption of ordinance number 2189 to amend the Land Development Code regarding plat and replat reviews and approvals to be consistent with the amended section 177.071 of our statutes. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Questions for Mr. Frasetta and Mr. Berry?
Mr. Frasetti, the person that's applying for permits, is this what we're talking about?
Excuse me?
People that are applying for permits?
No, ma'am, for subdivision plats. So
okay, never mind then. Do they still have to go through an online process, or do they speak face-to-face with someone?
They can always be face-to-face with us. The application process will be online, but they certainly come in at the beginning, at the get-go, to understand the process.
Okay.
Plat, typically they'll end up talking to someone. Yes. So they're usually coming in for a serious development at that point too.
Anyone else with a question on this item for Mr. Frasetta? Seeing none, does anyone from the public wish to speak on this item? Seeing no one. Council, do you wish to make a motion? All right, seeing none, we will abandon the item. Going once?
Now, this is an ordinance that is required by the state statute.
I understand
to pass, so
Mayor, so move staff's recommendation.
Second.
Just trying to add the urgency here. Have a motion made by Councilman Schmidt, seconded by Councilman Jeter to approve ordinance 2189. Any additional comments?
No, sir.
Council, please vote. You're all good. It does pass unanimously. Which, in our jumbled up world here, moves us to item 12. Is that correct? Or no, I'm sorry. Ordinance is on second reading. Item 11.1, ordinance 2186, amending COO Chapter 9 offenses. Chief Fish, or Chief Mr. Burns first.
Ordinance 2186, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Fort Walton Beach, Florida, provide for authority creating Section 9.13 of the Code of Ordinances titled Control of Access to City Facilities, Facility Rules, Trespass Warnings, and Criminal Penalties, creating Section 9.14 of the Code of Ordinances titled Appeals of Trespass Warnings, creating Section 9.15 of the Code of Ordinances titled Duration of Trespass Warnings, issued for violation of city ordinance, providing for severability, and providing for an effective date. This is second reading, and Chief Page will present.
Mayor, there's nothing that's changed since the first reading. As Mr. Burns stated, this talks about designating places as either public forums, limited public forums, or non-public forums, and also talks about a trespass appeal procedure.
Thank you, sir. Any questions on this for Chief Page? Does anyone from the public wish to speak on this ordinance? Council, would you like to take action?
Make a motion to adopt 2186 ordinance amending the COO Chapter 9 offenses.
Second.
Motion made by Councilman Merrill, seconded by Councilman Jeter to approve ordinance 2186. Additional comments?
I'll not be supporting it just based on my previous objections.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Council, please vote. And the motion does pass 6-1, which brings us to item 11.2, ordinance 2188. Mr. Burns.
Ordinance 2188, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Fort Walton Beach, Florida, provide for authority and findings of fact, creating Section 9.16 of the Code of Ordinances entitled Camping on Public Property, Building, or Right-of-Ways Prohibited, and provide for an effective date. This is second reading, and Chief Page will present.
Chief.
Mayor, once again, there are no changes between first and second reading. This was related to the state statute that passed, which prohibits municipalities from allowing people to camp in public spaces.
Thank you, sir. Questions on this item for Chief Page? Councilman Schmidt.
What's our workflow as far as, and we may have not had this yet, but as far as enforcing that if the camping starts?
So they'd be enforced primarily under a trespass offense. We go out and warn somebody that camping is not allowed on city property. If they were to camp or to continue to camp on city property, then they would be possibly arrested for trespass after warning, or they could be cited as a civil citation under the code process.
And would I be accurate by just encouraging those that are listening or watching just to call our non-emergency hotline or hotline dispatch just to report this?
Yes, but remember, this ordinance takes place on public property. So if somebody is camping on private property, the mechanism and workflow would be different.
But on the public property that we're looking at right now,
yes,
we would encourage the residents to call dispatch to identify the issue. Okay,
yes.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Seeing none, anyone from the public wish to speak on this item? Council, do we have any action?
Mayor, so move staff's recommendation to adopt ordinance number 2188.
Second.
Motion made by Councilman Jeter, seconded by Councilman Merrill to approve ordinance 2188. Any additional comments?
No, sir.
Council, please vote. And that motion does pass unanimously, bringing us now to item 12.1. Ms. Barnes.
Mayor, the Okaloosa County Housing Department sent you a letter requesting that another council member be appointed to serve on the Affordable Housing Advisory Committee. Mr. Walker submitted his resignation, so we need to get a volunteer and fill that position.
Any volunteers from the board to serve on the Affordable Housing Advisory Committee? Ms. Barnes, do you have any information about how frequent the meetings are or where they're held?
I don't have that with me, but I do have it in the office. I can get that information to whoever's appointed.
Okay, or Mr. Walker, do you know that information?
It was, I believe monthly, once a month.
Okay, and do you know where they were held?
Shalimar Annex and Crestview.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Day, like what day, do you know? Was it?
I don't recall.
Once monthly. Does anyone from the board wish to?
I can get that, if you give me 1 second.
Okay.
Okay, like he said, it's at one of the two locations, either Shalimar or Crestview. The dates remaining are September the 4th, November the 6th, 1 p.m. And I think that's about it.
Okay. Any volunteers on that?
That's Thursdays.
Okay. Does it have to be an elected official?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
We have an interlocal agreement with the county for this committee.
Sure.
There's two more, September 4th, November 6th.
That's correct. 1 o'clock.
Thursday.
I can do it.
Mr. Merrill, as a volunteer, do we have any nominations?
Mayor, I'd like to nominate Mr. Merrill.
Second.
All right, got a motion by Councilman Schmidt, seconded by Councilman Jeter to nominate Councilman Ben Merrill, our hero of the day, for the Affordable Housing Advisory Committee. Any further discussion?
Thank you, Mr. Merrill.
I'd like to say thank you, and I'm glad it's at 1 o'clock because he's more concerned about the midnight party hours.
Yeah,
This is 1 o'clock the other day. Goes in.
Grown to the one, and I'm like, I can do it.
Perfect. Council, please vote.
Not before 7.
Great teamwork. 7-0. That moves us to item 14, City Manager Report.
Yes. Good, okay. So just a couple things, getting some really positive feedback on our Cleanest City initiative. We had a couple groups reach out, one reached out today, they want to do their own kind of sponsored thing, so pretty cool there. I should be able to present next meeting a schedule for the baseball fields to include free versus pay and all kinds of different appetites for you to choose from, so we'll be good to go there. And then if you want to move that out to the other courts or whatever sports that we have, good to go. One member of council, I don't remember who, requested to see if we could or should sell the Gulfview. Mr. Burns has done the homework. The answer is yes, we can. The other half of the phrase was, should we? It is generating a profit, ballpark 100,000. Is that right? Annually. So if we want to, take some direction here. If not, let it ride.
Excuse me, what did you say about 100,000?
That's the profit.
The profit.
So it is generating a revenue against all expenses.
Correct.
Maybe not the large elevator expense that we have looming over our head, should that ever happen, but against all other expenses, it is generated.
Let it ride?
I'll let it ride for now, yeah, and take your information and study it and think about what we could do next, or if anything at all, while corresponding with you. But I appreciate that updated information.
Let it ride.
Let it ride.
Let it ride.
All right. The last thing I wanted to talk about, I had asked Mr. Sparks to be here. I guess he had to bail. It was just a high-level discussion on the monies that we are putting into that group. I'd like to turn them loose and do a project for us. We have some grandiose visions of parking structures and some downtown improvements, and that's where I'm going to rely on him to bring me an idea, potentially to move our library with a public-private partnership and put that entity in charge of building this garage or whatever it is. Unfortunately, I think in years past, and I don't have the language in front of me, council decided to get rid of the tax breaks for this exact type of thing, and this is the only way I know how to do it. It's what I've been successful with in other places. So if we need to look back into getting that language created so we can do these public-private partnerships, but then I would like to assign that to him to get after it. So thoughts there?
Yeah, don't let that ride. I like that. Now you got me curious about what expired.
Didn't expire. I think it was voted out saying, hey, we don't want to do tax breaks anymore for.
Okay, and whatever we need to do to, revive that to
That's
help.
the tool I use to bring in that entity.
Yeah, that's the way I was
To pay for
interpreting it. And if you need our support to help revive that, that's what I was.
I'll have that language at the next council meeting then, and then we can move forward. But otherwise, I'm going to have him start
Are
the
you, Mr. Davis,
process.
referring to the, like, reduction in hookup fees and those kind of things?
Like impact fees, is that?
It's all negotiated, so some of it, but typically 10-year tax breaks. I still want the entity to do
On actual property taxes?
Correct.
Okay.
Any different, there's several different flavors.
Sure.
That being said, I still want them to improve the stormwater and the roads and the lights as part of the project, but again, none of that's cheap, right? So it's got to be fair and equitable for everybody. So there's a lot of negotiation, but it does bring in.
I'm with Councilmember Schmidt. I would love to explore that. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think you have a lot of nodding heads, Mr. Walker.
I missed that first part of your introduction there. Did you say library and parking garage? Is that
Correct. So just again, whiteboarding. A library is not very accessible for children when they get off school and mama's got to go to work. You know, I'd like to see it closer to the schools that we have, and the kids can get off and whatever, go to school, go to the library, do their homework, that sort of thing. That property is a very good, in my opinion, would return some investment, right? If we sell it potentially to this group, they can build whatever they want there. I have some ideas on boutiques, whatever, and then have them build the garage as well for us, and then we work out the particulars from there. But at that point, we would have a parking garage potentially and a library more suitable to the kids that can actually get there, not fight the traffic and that sort of thing.
Gotcha, thank you.
Mr. Davis, are you
Yeah, go
speaking
ahead,
about
Mr.
parking garage? Excuse me.
Yeah, I said go ahead,
Over
Mr.
there on Perry or 98 or which parking?
So I don't know the roads, but where the food trucks are, right across the street, there's that piece of property that we own that is next to the museum.
Yeah, where Joe and Eddie's used to be, yeah. And Ms.
Yes.
Gibson's,
Yes.
the new museum.
Yes. So that's a separate issue. I have had a couple discussions with the Gibsons, and they are amenable to what I've proposed. They're just working with their attorney and they'll get back to me. So it's a separate issue.
Okay.
Councilman Jeter.
I just want to say yes to exploring all of that, and thank you for being willing to pick up these rocks and tackle whatever is underneath them. I also want to let everybody know in the community with the red light on, we are not, this is all whiteboard. Correct. This is all just thinking outside the box. How can we maybe do this? We're not approving anything. We're not saying yes to anything. We're not spending any money. We're just whiteboarding and trying to make things happen. You've been great at that so far. Keep doing it. Thank you.
So let's just say it does move forward. Mr. Sparks would be back here presenting a project for vote.
Got it.
And with that, just seeing it all kind of maybe come together, but we set away $2 million tonight for designing around the mountain, correct? And I mean, that's what it was for. And then the preferred alternatives, or the preferred route, I believe it's called, was Route 2 or something. But it shows a downtown, I think it's called a common green. I don't remember, but that's where the library sits. You've seen that, right?
If I have, I don't remember.
And that's in the downtown master plan design from 2018?
Yeah, and that's, we submitted to the state for their understanding of what we the people wanted, which included the library gone, just so you know. And there, so it showed an open green there. I think it's called open green option there, and it shows, potential. So it's interesting to see it just come together now. There was a study that showed that the library, just like you said, should probably be elsewhere, probably smaller.
Okay.
I just never heard it talked about a private-public partnership. It was drawn, the preferred route, and that was all parking.
It just gives me an avenue to have somebody else pay for these big ticket items. So.
But it won't be parking. I mean, a private entity wouldn't put parking there.
Potentially. So again, many different flavors. That first floor could be shops, boutiques, whatever. Second floor parking, so on and so forth, and go vertical.
And just as Councilman Jeter said, all whiteboarding, but also no plan at all immediately to shut down our library. I've sat through that meeting before. I'm not excited to sit through it again, just with the public not understanding exactly what we're saying here. So again, these are just all ideas.
Good clarification. The requirement would be a more better library, a more appropriate place, but yes.
Exactly. Perfect.
Okay.
Anything else on your city
I have a
manager
quick
report?
question.
Oh, I'm sorry, Ms. Riley.
Mr. Davis, so on the tax breaks, so whoever the person that make the purchase, in other words, they're going to get a tax break, but all inclusive will be a garage in there for the city to use as parking. Is that correct, or?
Yes, so again, the sky's the limit right now. The goal was to get a garage and bring
Right.
some business into, that kind of tax revenue in, take some burden off the housetops. But at the same time, if they're going to build something like that for the city, you got to give them some tax breaks, right?
Absolutely.
That's just how it
Got
works.
Okay. Anything else in the city manager report?
No, that's the high-level items. I'll save the rest for budget.
Wonderful. Okay, city attorney reports.
Council, thank you for approving the amendment to our contract earlier. I'll do my best being your city attorney, and I do appreciate it.
Thank you, Mr. Burns. I didn't get to be here for that, but I think you do a fantastic job as our city attorney. I sincerely do appreciate you being here. I know we pay you to be here, but I think you do a really good job of bringing us information, being informed on all of the items, and offering up some alternatives to things that we probably wouldn't have without you, so I sincerely do appreciate it. That moves us on to mayor council final comments. The order escaped me, but we'll start with Councilman Schmidt.
Well, a lot of folks that were here before are gone, but I just want to again thank Mr. Davis and thank you, Ms. Riley. Whether it's, we had not just a conversation about Chester Pruitt, but the Combs area, and we hear from our friend from Beachview that has been here throughout. But where I'm going with this is that these are only just a few people that represent a lot of people out there that don't hear or see this. And just want to encourage those that are still here to go back into their community to support what the government is trying to do, working with the community on finding win-wins while still going through the bureaucratic process that we all legally have to go through that Mr. Burns keeps us compliant on. So just a quick shout out to staff and council, as well as the few community members that are left to go back to their community and really support that we are trying to work with the community and with the government to make things happen. That's all I got, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Walker.
Nothing at this time.
All right. Mr. Brown.
Yes, I would like, I know we spoke about it, Mr. Davis, but about getting the last year, so from August of 24 to August of 25, exit interviews from all employees who have left City of Fort Walton.
Okay, I will.
So to all of council.
I will send that out. I don't know what the formal process is. I haven't got that far yet, but I haven't particularly necessarily seen one. But I will have what we have to you tomorrow-ish.
Awesome. That's all I got, Mayor.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Berry.
I want to thank Mr. Davis for all that you've done. Your first month here, you've been busy. And I appreciate that, moving staff around to make it more cost effective. I appreciate that. And keep up the good work.
Well, very nice, but everybody's been very supportive of my bizarro ideas, so it's more of it's a team.
I won't go there.
Thank you, ma'am. Mr. Jeter.
Yeah, I love the new blood and the outside the box thinking as well. If you're looking for a census earlier, we were kind of discussing it, we moved on, the lobbyists and getting things done. If you know other ways to get things done that work, I'm all for exploring those as well too, because if those speed things up, then let's go that route.
Councilman Merrill.
Well, I think we've heard from the community quite a bit. We've tried to, I love to see us interact and try to make changes and try to adapt. And somebody who keeps coming in, Mr. Hancock, I am one of the councilmen that he got a hold of, and I went down there, and I wasn't part of the landing project. I wasn't on the board at the time, but to think that we couldn't find somewhere to move those trash dumpsters for them before it becomes a problem. It's just something I told them I would bring up. If somebody brings up like why we shouldn't do it and it's specifically designed that way and it's the only way it's going to work, then it is what it is. But I looked at it, and with my untrained eye, I thought there's probably somewhere else we could put that. So for a later date, I'm supportive of
So
that.
yes, I agree. My untrained eye. I've had some high-level conversations with the people that are substantially smarter than me, and I don't have a good answer right now. I am sitting down with them on Wednesday or Thursday this week. I don't remember. I think it's Thursday. And that is on the to-do list, in addition to tasking that contractor down there to get after it a little bit, so
Awesome.
we'll see.
Thank you, sir. Ms. Riley?
Okay, I have several shout outs, so I'm gonna get it through really quickly if I can. First and foremost, Mr. Burns, congratulations. I appreciate everything you do. Honestly, you have been right on target with me. You know, you answer questions, you're concerned, and you want to make sure that the legality component part of things are right if there's any concerns. So thank you, sir, so much. Mr. Davis, thank you so much too for all that you do. I appreciate all the work you've done. And I had to think about it on that housing, because those of you who know me, you know, that's near and dear to my heart too, is, you know, the affordable workforce housing. And I really wanted to volunteer to sit on that board, but let me tell you something. I looked at Mr. Davis, I said, there's no way I'm gonna miss my 11 o'clock meetings on Thursday.
That's our
Can't do it.
That's our
Because I know I'm gonna get stuck trying to go to Crestview, and I cannot do it. I enjoy my meetings with you, and I think you know, your time, you know, it's just been amazing so far. Okay, Chief Page, thank you so much. I wanted to tell you I really enjoyed participating in the National Night Out with the PD and also the Okaloosa County Sheriff's Office. Such a wonderful, wonderful partnership. And nationwide, you know, this has been going on for quite a while, and I just really, really adore the National Night Out. Thank you, sir, for all that you do. Thank you very much. You have a wonderful staff, too. I love talking with them. The other thing is I wanted to give shout out to Gail Sandinsberg for the Fort Walton Beach Housing Authority for the groundbreaking for the Bayside apartments on her phase 1. I know it's been a long time, you know, coming for her and her staff, and so it was a pleasure for me to be there to watch them break ground. And last but not least, Mr. Hill, I searched you out. Wanted to tell you I thought about the golf course, and so I decided to do my lunch at the golf course. I was really excited. I enjoyed the golf cart ride with you, and I've been thinking ever since I rode on that golf cart, daggone it, I gotta get one. But just wanted to tell you I miss you, sir, but I will come back to to visit with you. But I did lunch, amazing lunch, really had a good time out there, and so we'll catch up with you. All righty, and I'm done.
Thank you, ma'am. I want to echo your comments regarding the National Night Out and the groundbreaking of the Bayside Breeze as well. Chief Page, I couldn't be more proud as a Fort Walton Beach resident when you go to an event like that and you see so many of your officers there, and they're not just standing there bored. You know, a lot of times you'll go to an event and there's people that have to be there and there's people that want to be there, and it seemed like all of your officers wanted to be there, and they were great with interacting with kids, with the community. It was really, really neat. Lastly, I want to say, I know we've gotten a lot of correspondence from residents in the community over the summertime that have, or actually even toward the end of last school year, that have been quote unquote ensnared in our traffic cameras, which now we are not the only city that has in our school zones. School's back in session, and those cameras are on and they're ready to go. We have had some positive, I think, discussions regarding getting flashing lights installed at all of the school zones, not even just the ones that have cameras, but that money that we've put into the general fund that's come from that is earmarked for projects just like that. So Chief Page and I at the National Night Out had a great conversation with a resident that was very interested in having flashing lights installed out there in front of St. Mary's School. Chief Page communicated that with Mr. Payne, and I think that's something that we can certainly do moving forward with that revenue that comes in. So when those tickets go out and that money does come in, the city's portion of it is assigned to be used for more traffic enforcement and safety and public safety, especially around those schools. So anything that we can do to help increase the safety around our schools is something that I'm always going to be for. If you're going to email our council and me looking for a little sympathy for going 53 miles an hour in a 30-mile-an-hour zone near a school, you're probably barking up the wrong tree. So I do appreciate everything that our police department does, and you guys have really been on it lately. All right, we'll adjourn for, how long do you need, Ms. Barnes?
About 10 minutes.
10 minutes, and then we'll be back to stay here till at least midnight.